All right, welcome back to Don't Think, Just Charge. I'm Dave, he's Harvey, and we're back with some more beta content, and this time, it's time for List Doctors. Let's get into it. We're back with some 3.6 Beta 2 content for you. This week, we have asked our wonderful, wonderful Discord members to submit some beta lists for us to review and do some list doctoring of. Now, there are a couple of points in this. We aren't doing our usual go through the army list and build it up. We're trying not to overextend on the OPR policy here of oversharing on it, but we've made a load of lists. We've kept a couple in there to discuss the idea and the content behind, and we're going to go through what our thoughts are on a few armies. So sit back, relax, enjoy some beta goodness. Actually, it might be an interesting point just to talk about as a preliminary. One of the key points that I found whilst I was doing some building, which is it's not too difficult to find AP if you are looking for it, but it is a bit harder than it has been.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think AP's been brought back across the board. And as a result, all the costs are a bit cheap at the moment. So some of these lists are feeling quite thick. And I imagine by the end of the beta, we'll or at least by the end of the open beta, we'll have had that modifier change.
Yeah.
I know Tenno is a big fan of not changing that modifier until the very end.
Yes, we've seen that in the past.
Yeah, he wants us to kind of feel the vibe for the units. And so doesn't want to limit the armies down based on that. So I expect we won't know what the modifier is until much, much later. But for now, I expect we'll probably see like a 6 or 7% increase across the board. Maybe cutting one unit out of every army or so.
Yeah, it's exactly that for me. I think that we are very familiar with seeing the modifier increase the points cost. And so, yeah, your summary is about right. When we're getting into this, take all of this with the biggest pinch of salt of all subject to change and so on, but also that we would expect points costs to increase as we get closer to the release because everything is so cheap right now. So,
but in terms of actually list building and going through them, these are still our recommendations for the list and what you do in the current state of them. So it should be transferable and
it should all be transferable. That's the real point. And then, okie dokie. Well, thank you to everyone who has submitted lists. Now, we have not been able to get through all of them. We've done 2 lists, one each for some of them. Some of them we've only done one. Some we're just leaving here to discuss. So if you've been missed, we apologise. Do let us know in our Discord and we can have a chat about it there. And for some of them, we're not actually on 2 full lists. I almost forgot housekeeping points. YouTube housekeeping points, subscribe, like, comment, all that lovely stuff. Please do. It helps keep our numbers up and we like the numbers. Thank you. The other thing is if you are within a flight's distance of the UK, this is another reminder that there is going to be a 2-day OPR event on the 31st of October to the 1st of November this year. It's like 9 rounds of OPR over 2 days. There's a hotel. There's going to be evening entertainment. On the current release trajectory, it will be the first big event of this new patch, certainly here in the UK. We've got people coming from, obviously, the UK. We've had Spaniards confirmed. We've had Polish attendees confirmed. I can't remember what the situation is on Germans attending, but at the time of recording, I think the last message said there was 8 slots left, or maybe 4.
I don't know. It's a lot of people, though. I think it's 40 plus at the moment, isn't it?
Are we at 40? Do you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what Andy said in the chat the other day. Maybe I've misremembered. But either way, it's lining up to be one of the biggest OPR tournaments.
It's lining up to be one of the biggest,
and multinational, which is fun.
That's so fun. So
and obviously it's Halloween, so we can all get dressed up as ghostly undead as well. That would be nice.
I hadn't even thought about that. Just getting dressed up for the day. That'd be really fun. If you're into cosplay, go for it. That's a best opportunity. I will be dressing up as someone who wants to play Custodians or Battle Brothers, probably.
Yes. I'll need some ghoulish green body paint for my whole body. Can
we just smurf you? Can we paint you like all blue?
Kind of like the Night Haunt blue or whatever it is. That kind of like bluish colour.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to dress up as one of my ghostly undead. So I'm going to dress up as a giant googly eye with a bed sheet on.
Oh, yes, you have to
the
do
only
that now.
the only person dressed up, me looking like an idiot.
If you do
looking
that,
like
I'll dress up as something. I don't know.
Either way, if you're interested, come check it out. It's in Birmingham, so there's an airport nearby, and yeah. It's all there.
Let us know if you haven't got access to the details. It's on Discord, in the Rangers chat, in the official Discord, and if you jump into the Don't Think Just Charge Discord, the best place on the internet to be, we can share the details with you as well.
Yep.
Just let us know. It'd be lovely to see some of you there. Right, let's get into it. So our first submission was why have a model limit but no tough limit? As many models as possible as you can get into Alien Hives. The submitter, Sven, thank you, Sven, called it, I shall submit my legal spam list. Let's go through it. So, Alien Hives, what are we looking at here? Hivebond has got this new condition on it, which is that if most models in this unit have this rule, as long as they haven't used a move action during this round, they get +1 to morale test rolls. So as long as they haven't had an activation or moved, so if they've used the hold action, they get their +1 to do morale check rolls. Yep. It's a new vibe on things. Do we want to have the conversation now about our thoughts on that style of rule?
I can give you my 5-second breakdown of
Let's have a 5-second breakdown.
Yeah. In general, in OPR, you want to charge things that haven't activated to take activations off the board. This works when that's the case, so it's a good defensive.
Yeah.
I know there's been lots of discussion recently about the on-hold stuff and the charging stuff. And I wonder if it should just be symmetrical and be like when you attack a unit that has already activated or hasn't activated. When you attack a unit that hasn't activated.
So if you want to
either way, whichever one it is, if you did hasn't activated, then they would be symmetrical. So your defenses and offenses will be online at the same time.
Yes. But it would just be rewarding what we would typically call good activation priority.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that to make it a condition, you'd want that then to be when attacking a unit that has activated, then you get your bonus because it kind of balances it out. But
also plays a little bit more into the activation thing about OPR, right? The complexity of OPR comes from the activation game. Yes. So it plays into that a bit more compared to standing still.
Indeed. So it's an interesting one. I don't know. I think it might change your activation priority choice 10% of the time, maybe 20% of the time. It's not going to dynamically change the rhythm of the game, I think.
No.
But it is interesting.
Yeah.
Let's go through the list before I start to go off on one. Focus on what the video is for today, else we'll be here for 3 hours recording. So this initial list, stuff as many wounds in as possible. 2 units of assault grunts, a unit of winged grunts with the shotgun ones, the bioborers, and ambush. Another unit of winged grunts this time. Instead of having ambush, you've got fast. A unit of shooter grunts with fast. This one has got two flamers in it. 3 units of doubled up hive swarms with their base loadout. And then 1 unit of doubled up hive warriors with their AP2 loadout, and 1 unit of doubled up hive warriors with their AP nothing A4 loadouts. This is really simple. I would say, actually, for anyone who may be newer to OPR, this is a fantastic list to learn to play OPR with. This does a lot of things and is quite resilient.
I don't think people new to OPR have 100 models.
In Warhammer, pyramid players are a cult. I promise you they're a cult.
But yeah, so obviously the point of the list here is it's a small criticism on the new model limit that's been introduced to the game. So you can only have up to 100 models in an army. But there's no limit on tough. So yeah, this is 100 models, but it is 180 wounds, which is obviously an unbearable amount of wounds.
It is a lot, yes.
That's not to say this is an also win, but yeah, it's a frustrating list to play against. And obviously certain lists can't even deal with this, but also this can't deal with a lot of lists. So
swings and roundabouts. Good for learning to play the morale game, the objective game, the movement game. I'm going from there.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, so we have a ton of wounds to chew through here. Let's see. We've got your list first, so let's have a look at what you've done.
Okay, yeah. So what have I done? Now it's been a while since I've done this, but I kind of lent more into so I did cut models. right? I think I ended up with like 96 or 94 models or 95, something like that, right? I didn't cut a massive amount of models. But the main things I did is I stripped a bunch of upgrades away from things. I think when you're doing like a big spammy list, you don't really need lots of different upgrades. Okay. But what I did do is I got rid of fast from the wind grunts. I got rid of ambush from the wind grunts. I got rid of their guns and gave them melee instead, but with piercing growth.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is nice because going into round 2, which is when they're recharging, they're going to be AP1. They have flying, so they already have a way of kind of getting advantage of your opponent for attacking them. And it just makes them a kind of tricksy, annoying unit. The other things I've done is I put Snatcher Lords in the Assault Grunts.
Yeah.
So Snatcher Lords are great. They give you that 2-up morale instead of the 4-up morale they would have when the Hive Bond is activated. That is, when it's not activated, it still gives you a 3-up. But more importantly, they also give you a regen aura, which literally just doubles the durability of these units. So if you're going for like enormous spam list, I think this ends up with a lot more wounds than the other one. Yeah. Because of that, because you're effectively getting 30 wounds out of those Assault Grunts each, which is a lot. Left the weapons as they are. I think the serrated claws are great, right? Like having 4 of those buried deep in an Assault Grunt unit is just great. From there, I got rid of one of the units of Hive Warriors. So I got rid of the 3 stack, but I put a Snatcher Lord in the other one. So instead of having a kind of like little dawdly A4 unit, I've gone for the Rapid Charge Aura here instead. So obviously Fast is wasted and Strider is wasted, but Rapid Charge Aura is not. So that just gives you the 2-up morale for those guys, but also means that they can charge 16 inches and actually get in there with their AP2, as this is obviously one of the primary sources of AP in this list. And then from there, it's pretty much the same. Yeah, like I think for me, it was just like I saw spam and I was like, well, we should be using regen aura here, and we should also be taking advantage of the 2-up morale, because that makes those 2 blocks really, really hard to move. Yeah, and you can bog down the game massively between those and the Hive Swarms.
Very good. See, I took a slightly different tact. You've gone for a bit more resilience. When I was building mine, I thought, you know what, the resilience on this is absolutely fine, so let's just increase our lethality instead. The only things that have changed in this list compared to the original, rather than 3 units of base Hive Swarms doubled up, I've left it at 2, but then they've got this A4 AP1 Borer Spitz gun in there, which, when you're playing with a Qual 5 unit that might get shaken really easily when it loses combat, just take that out of the equation, have them be really annoying moving around. That is a crap ton of attacks. If you've taken anywhere from 0 to 2 wounds, that's 24? Quick maths. 24 AP1 shots coming out of this unit, which is incredibly large. That's, 8 hits AP1 on average? Quick maths again. That is really, really potent and will do quite a lot to quite a few units. So I thought, let's have that upgrade. It was like 10, 15 points, I can't remember right now, and just cut one of those units, because if you cut one of those units, you can get in the Rapid Charge Aura. So I stuck in 2 Grunt Veterans with Rapid Charge Aura onto the Hive Warriors just to let them get their 16-inch charges. Yeah. Which I thought would just make them that little bit scarier. But otherwise, I quite like what was going on with the rest of the list. You've got an ambush unit for tricksy shit. You've got shooter grunts in there for blast. I like having fast everywhere. Yeah, it was good. These serrated claws, A3, AP2 being buried, that little weapon loadout change that's coming, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I obviously we've gone slightly different directions here, but I think overall the thing we agree on is Rapid Charge Aura on the Hive Warriors. I felt like they were getting left behind otherwise.
Yes.
Because everything is fast and really mobile and stuff. And then the Hive Warriors, they don't have Strider, they don't have flying, they don't have a way of getting around. So Rapid Charge Aura kind of gives you a chance of that, really. Yeah, but yeah, mine is much more like a slower, stallier list. And yours is a bit more kind of run the board and go for it.
Run on the board and go for it. Don't think, just charge. You got to get that. Brill, let's move on to our next one. Our next submission is a 2,000 point Kingdom of Angels list for mixed Age of Fantasy and Grimdark future tournament play. Now, when I loaded this one up for the first time, I thought that this might actually struggle with fighting Grimdark future armies. Let's go through it and have a little bit of a look. We have a champion on a Griffin, so it's a tough 9 model with a load of different ways of jamming in extra attacks. It comes out with 10 attacks in melee, This one's got a fortified aura, so it's a 3/3. It gets armor 3 up because of the Griffin. Tough 9, AP -1, 10 attacks, and they're all rending.
With a 6 up from being King of Angels.
With a 6 up from being Kingdom of Angels, yes, that is right. And I think that is a very good place to start. It just is the rest of the list, I think, would then struggle with really a lot of shooting. You've got 3 units with the base Battle Nuns. Now, 5 bodies with A1 Shred, Furious, 70 points is really, really cheap. But at the same time, it is only 5 bodies on a defense 5 up. Even with the extra 6 up, I feel you'll just get blown away by most things, regardless of how cheap it is. Burning.
I don't actually hate those, but for what it's worth. I mean, they're very similar to Mourner Banshees. They've got one more defense from Mourner Banshees, and one might have one less.
Are we back in our era of comparing everything to Ghost of the Undead?
Everything is to Ghost of the Undead or a Flame of Beast. But yeah, this very similar to Mourner Banshees, which are an annoying unit. Obviously, they're missing, Strider and tricks and stuff like that. But for 70 points, you can't go too wrong with that kind of stuff. It's not going to win any objectives, but it might take an objective that's not contested.
70 points, very, very good.
But yeah, I mean, I think you're about to highlight the issue here, right? You can't have super, super fragile 5 model units and also have units that are complete shooting bait.
Yes.
Which is everything else in this army.
Everything else in the army. Everything else. I am all for Tough 3 spam. I'm all for Angel spam. I love an Angels mini. But unfortunately, the Angels in Kingdom of Angels just aren't good enough, really. And I think that is a criticism of the army. With the general attack reduction, they're all pretty naff. And I think Frozen Angels are the one exception to that, which I'll come on to as we go through it. The Burning Angels, one of them can have this Crossing Strike Ember Storm, which is kind of cute. Otherwise, they're A3 Bane, and that's it. 200 points, 3/4s, they're fine. They are, I'd venture into saying they're slightly better than fine, but not quite good in core Age of Fantasy.
Yeah, I think in Age of Fantasy, that's a fine unit, right? For 200 points, that's pretty decent as far as it goes.
Yes, I agree.
Because like 4 defense is going to stick around most of the time, and you've got a 6 up on top of it, right? It's not getting completely rolled in Age of Fantasy.
Yeah.
And flying is also very good there and stuff. But yeah, I think, basically all these units have the same problem, which is, well, I mean, the main Angel only 200 points, but all the other ones we're about to get on are all 500 points plus.
Yes.
And they're 15 wounds, and anything with shooting is going to reduce that down to 1 guy by the time you've actually got there.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go through it. We have 2 units of Frozen Angels. One of them's loaded out with Frozen Blades, which is 3 attacks with Shred. One of them's changed out the 3 attacks with Shred for each model having 1 attack with Deadly 3 and AP 2 and Shred. So that is very good.
Which is still a combo.
It is a combo, yes.
I think it's been rolled. It was going to not be a combo. It was going to say you can't multiply it, but it's been dialed back for some reason. I don't know why that was, but...
I mean, I think it's kind of cute, right? If you find Shred and Deadly and get the 1 and it blows up,
if it does the maths behind the scenes, then it's fine. But
yeah, exactly.
I think for the longest time it didn't. So
it got updated either in 3.5.3 or slightly before, I think. But so long as the maths is correct, I think it's cute. It gives you a bit of an exciting feel on the battlefield of, I've hit you with this deadly attack, and if you roll a 1, kablano.
Yeah, I'm going to super kill you.
Which gives that unit a bit of game into Grimdark Future, I think. Unfortunately, the rest of it's just not quite there. They are both led by High Angels. One of them's got 6 attacks, AP1 Shred, good loadout. And they've both got this Frost Strike for precision debuff, which is very good because here we've got 4 of them in the list, so you can make things attack at a really reduced rate. The versatile attack buff, kind of cool as well. So this is a really good handing out buffs and debuffs individual model. And then they've all got this Furious Aura just amping up the Frozen Angels' lethality, which very, very good. However, it does end up being, as you say, 2 500-point units that just get absolutely melted by shooting.
Yeah, another thing to know about versatile attack buff compared to all the other buffs is it just doesn't work on the units that's got it. Because versatile attack says when it gets activated. Yeah. Right? So you can't on your turn buff yourself with it. You have to buff a different unit with it. Yeah. Which is kind of clunky and annoying compared to most buffs where you just basically slam it on the unit you've got it on. Now there is an argument to say that, okay, well maybe maybe the buff should only be like work like that. They shouldn't only ever be passed out to other units. But at least in a world where that's not the case, this is not a very good one, and it's also quite an expensive one.
It is. I don't know how many points it is right now, but I remember looking at it and thinking I'm not too keen on it.
I think it was like 40, 35 points like that. And it also has the hold or charge thing, so that doesn't matter too much, but it kind of matters for when you can't buff yourself, right? Because if you can buff yourself, then you're going to get the charge. But if you buff a different unit with it, they might then just charge that unit, and then you don't get your versatile attack buff because they've been charged, and then versatile attack's way less useful because you're then fatigued.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a
in the world where these two units make it to round 4, only one of them's actually going to get it because you buff the other one, and then the other one's got nothing to buff.
Yeah.
For exactly that reason. So it is a bit of a feels bad, awkward rules moment, and I'm with you on it. I do think as well we've got too many precision debuffs, especially where they're mostly coming out of the same unit. It's 18 inches, it's quite short. So
they also require line of sight precision debuff, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So it requires line of sight, so you're kind of playing more into that I'm going to get shot off the board thing as well. Another frustrating thing about precision debuff, right, which you wouldn't really know until you've gone and played in a GDF AOF tournament, is you ain't debuffing things inside transports.
Exactly.
Right? So you can swan up the board and debuff the transport, but the thing getting out of the transport is going to absolutely decimate this unit. And because your whole army is lacking in any mobility, it's got flying, but it doesn't have fast.
Yeah, but only got some musicians.
You don't control that much space on the board, so it's really easy for them to just outrange you at every turn.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of problem here, right? We've got these 2 500 blocks of angels, which are effectively not moving fast enough, and they're probably going to be on pretty big bases, so probably hard to hide. And so they're just going to get shot off the board. And if you lose even one of these 500 point units before the game starts, which is going to happen, you probably lose the game off the back of that. It's very hard to win trading. If you compare this to having like a tough 12 thing with Def 2, which is cheaper, these things fold, right? Like Def 4 is not good enough. Even with the 6 up.
The 2 criticisms I have of this build is really A, you melt to shooting. B, where's your mobility? What if you're on a progressive scoring game? You're not going to really do that well here. Musician is good, just not good enough in that situation. But let's keep going. So we've got these units of Frozen Angels, slightly different loadouts, and then we round it out with a unit of the 3rd type, Battle Angels. These guys have got the versatile attack buff, which is the same thing as we've seen elsewhere. So it is a 3rd unit in the mix, but we are going to find some redundancy there. Also 18 inches. Oh no, 12 inches on this one. Blimey, I thought it was bigger.
I think buffs are 12 inches. I think debuffs are 18.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That is going to sting when you need line of sight as well, right? Pick a friendly unit. Oh no, this one doesn't need line of sight. Okay, but the 12 inches is going to sting on a 6x4 board, which is going to be one of the problems.
Yeah, for sure, especially in progressive, right, where your units are so spread out and you can't buff yourself. So too much use. Yeah,
exactly. And then 3 attacks AP2 is fine in the new world, but these guys are qual 3, so that's going to actually be 6 hits AP2 on average, which when you sling that into a Def 2 up thing in, again, against Grimdark Future, you're going to feel pretty lame only getting 3 wounds on it. On average.
Yeah. If versatile attack buff worked on the unit it was on, then I could see this having a bit more legs.
Yes.
Getting on 2 up really nice there, maybe getting the AP3 sometimes, sure. But for the most part, I think the buffs are costing them too much here. And yeah, it's just a little bit too greedy, right? Like the high angel, frozen angel thing, 500 points for when that moves normal speed is like it's gonna get counted pretty hard, I think, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Even just like carbine spam is going to take away a couple of models, and all of a sudden you paid all those points and you're not quite getting what you want anymore.
Carbine spam's going to be so good. I already like carbine spam as it is, and I think I'm going to enjoy playing a lot of just roll loads of dice and make people roll armor saves. It's going to be fun. So let's have a look. We have got, is this on my list?
That's yours, yeah.
That's mine? Okay, cool. I will say, actually, one of the pieces in this I was only really put onto because you sent me another Kingdom of Angels list earlier today, and that is the artillery, which we'll come to as we get there. So where possible, I've tried to keep the core or the idea of the lists as centralized as possible. There is at least one list in here where I haven't quite done that, and we'll get there eventually. I've started with the champion on Griffin. I think he's really good. Rather than having rending, I've given it thrust attacks because with Furious, which is another change, and thrust, you are effectively hitting 100% of the time with those attacks, which is really good. And as I noted, I've got a Furious aura. I just think offense is better than defense. So this 320-point unit, I think it's not S tier, but it's really nice and reliable. And I'd see myself enjoying using it. Mm-hmm. For the chaffy kind of units, I've put in 2 units of Penitence. And again, this is a chaff unit. It's quite cheap. This one's only 45 points more than those 2 units of 5. But instead, we've got double the number of wounds, which on a Def 6 up means you ignore whatever AP people are trying to bring anyway. And we've got Death Strike, which is when it's killed in melee, you deal more hits. You've got Brace and Counter. So if you are in a fantasy game and you get charged, this is really quite a scary unit to go into. And if it gets shot off the board, they've got to chew through 10 wounds and you don't mind all too much. I've then added a unit of Battle Nuns. Nuns, I think, they got absolutely none of your business being this good. 10 of them with A2. They come with Furious and Banner and Musician being very cheap on them on a Qual 4 unit. These guys are going to catch some people out, absolutely. And 165 points are nice and cheap. We'll skip the Angels and talk about them in a minute. I've got 2 units of Scout Nuns. I wanted Scouts because it's possible progressive, I'd presume, if we're doing cross-play. And they come with short bows. And I think they're going to plink people and do their job very well at 120 points. Angels, let's have the chat about them. I think Frozen Angels are good. I didn't give these ones the precision loadout because of really points. But one of the things you can do is have upgrade 1 with, and you get an Ice Blast. So what this is a deadly attack with AP2. And because it's on 1 model, it's buried deep in the unit. You end up with 12 total damage output, which isn't the max, but it's still pretty good. And then your last model is outputting potentially 6 wounds when it attacks. So it's overall quite effective. Then I thought we need some mobility, so I put in 2 units of Panther Riders. The 2 units of Panther Riders, I think they're pretty solid. They're fast, they're furious. You add Musician on top. They are going zoomy around the board. We've got Strider. They've all got 2 attacks each. I loaded some out with Flails because I had the points. I think they're just quite solid units. The Ice Phoenix Knight, it's a really cute little tough 6 unit. Oddly difficult to remove because it's Def 3 up regen, and that's where we've got 1 precision debuff because I think that's about all you need. And then Harvey showed me how beautiful it is having a deadly 6 artillery piece for only 105 points. The new artillery rule is excellent. I am a big fan of that. That really captures artillery very thematically, I think. And so you ended up with this list, which I think has just got a bit more resilience in a 2,000-point game as well.
Yep. Yeah, with some nice changes, I think.
Oh, yours is very simple.
Mine is very simple. So what did I do here? So I kept the kind of core like Angels buffing things and debuffing things theme going on. So we do have lots of versatile type buff, which, as stated, I don't think is very good. But if that was part of the theme in the list, I kind of kept with it. Mm-hmm. I also have precision debuff on these guys, so you kind of have that combo you had before. What do I have though? I have the High Angel got Caster. I really like the casting list of these guys. They can get Slayer, I think. They get Slayer on 2 targets. They've got 6 AP1 and Shatter. They've got some nice stuff in the casting list. So I thought let's just throw a bit of casting in there because actually just putting Slayer on things is fun. I have 2 Angelic Artillery. I think this is really great into the GDF matchup because I think it's good for killing transports, basically, right?
Yeah.
They have 36 inch range, which is quite annoying for GDF to deal with, right? Because it can even kill aircraft. The list has, 6 and then 7, 8, 9. Yeah, nine activations, which means that you can deploy these quite late into the deployment. So you should hopefully be able to line up sights, and if not, they're 36 inch range, so they threaten the board, right? Yeah. Which is scary and annoying, and they won't be on points, but they'll be fine. So instead of bringing the Angel units, I brought High Angels. They are kind of squishy at tough 6, Def 4, but they're better to hide which is my thinking, right? So you can pop them out, you can do position debuff, versatile attack buff, stuff like that. And then they're not complete slouches in combat. They can go in and do their bits. I thought the version with the blast, assault, and 6 attacks brings up to 9 attacks, which is quite nice.
Yeah, this is really nice to see.
The versatile attack was you're basically just kind of throwing out wherever you see fit. So you can buff your own angels if you want to, but really like putting on the artillery means the artillery can hit on a 2-up.
I missed that. Very nice.
And the artillery are holding anyway to shoot. So it's kind of like I might as well. Then, yeah, I've got a unit of battle angels in here. These guys just continue to exist because they are great bow guys, which I thought was a bit better than the melee spam we had before.
Yeah, I'm with that.
So you can also buff those guys with a versatile attack buff. And then you've got like these 3 shooting units that can take these buffs and then kind of try and take advantage of it. And getting an extra AP or getting a +1 to hit on those guys is quite nice. And Shatter is, I think, on 6 as it gets +2 AP. So also this battle engine unit can start to do stuff. I admit, I still don't think versatile attack was very good, and I think a more optimized version of this list would probably have less high angel spam and a bit more of everything else. But then obviously the biggest change to this list, which I think is the biggest, like the best thing for GDF, is 20 stacks of penitents, right?
Yeah.
These guys are a pain in the ass for GDF shooting to deal with, right? So there's 20 of them, so they got to get through 6 wounds already. Now, Angelic Blessing didn't get the condition on it, did it? It's just a 6-up.
No, this is just a 6-up or a 4-up.
Yeah, so this is a 6-up into 6-up 20 stack unit, right? That's really high durability. It's really annoying to deal with. So I think that's great, basically. Penitents themselves are really annoying because they have brace and counter and death strike. So if you come across someone doing some melee spam stuff, these things are going to kill so much stuff on the board. Yeah. They're just so hard to charge. And then the rest and then you've got, your artillery for dealing with high armor targets, right? Maybe they've got some tough 12s. You could probably kill those with that. Or transports, which would be a big threat to pushing up the board and taking out your things. So it's just a bit less melee heavy, and the chaff we have is a bit more chaffy, right? Like we don't care if the penitents die, whereas before if the high angels die, which is much more likely, they were a bit more important to the strategy. But yeah, while keeping that kind of like angels who buff and debuff theme going on. And a little bit of casting, because you can never go wrong slapping Slayer on things and watching things charge your penitents and die. Yeah.
But hold on. No, where this model uses a hold or charge action.
That's new.
Yeah, I was wondering if you'd seen that.
No, I hadn't seen that, but it doesn't really make too much of a difference. You can still buff things like that, and they still have 6 hits AP1 and Shatter and stuff, and 2 sets of 4 hits AP2, and so this is still good, so worth taking. But that's an interesting change for Slayer. Another one of those. Okay, well, clearly the problem here is hold or charge, but yeah, I don't know. It's strange.
Hold or charge. If you want our views on it, go see last week's video.
Yep.
Spoilers, we don't like it. Let's move on to some Human Defense Force. This is one that's been submitted by Yeray LA. This is them saying that they've been playing with HDF, moving from beta 1 to beta 2. They love the beta iteration of artillery rules and how cheap they are. And I think we agree with that one. Let's start with the field artillery. 125 points for a 4-3 with artillery. Hold the line. If this thing's getting charged, it's dying, so ignore that. But they come with some nice artillery guns. 2 attacks, AP1, blast 3 indirect, which when you're stacking in the artillery rule, indirect has also been changed, but you don't care about it too much because you're holding anyway to shoot the artillery, so you can just ignore line of sight restrictions. These things can just fire quite nicely on 3-ups with blast 3 hits, 125 points. The ability to now move with them means they can take home objectives. So yeah, I'm with you there.
That's good. Yeah.
Artillery's pretty good for the cost. What else have we got going on here? We'll go to the top. We've got a company leader with infantry squad. This one has got precision shooter buff. It's just got a pistol, very cheap loadout there. The infantry squad's all got battle rifles and a couple of plasma rifles buried in it. We've got extended buff range and hold the line boost aura. So these guys, when they haven't activated, have got a 3-up morale and extended buff range, so that if you have another unit with extended buff range in it, which we do, you can pass the precision shooter buffs around at 24-inch range. Mm-hmm. So nice. We've done it twice, but the next one has not got extended buff range. With a unit of sappers, but these ones have got deadly 3 rather than the reliable flames that we know and love. It is worth pouring one out for Relentless, which is going back to the 3.4 world. Don't know why we're regressing on this, but Relentless is going back to be on hold actions rather than 9 inches shooting away. So these guys have to stand still within 12-inch range to get Relentless on 5-ups. Unfortunately, I think this is not a good unit. We've got a battle tank. These guys have taken a bit of a glow up, I think. We're not quite seeing the full effects of it, but we have got 9 shots AP2, good AP in the new world, and a Blast 3 cannon. It's got Strider, it's got Stealth, it's got the extended buff range to pick up the precision shooter buffs. One of the best things available to HDF are the light walkers. We haven't seen the full flex of the loadout here, but I think these are still good. Scouting, flamering walkers, I think they're very good generally. And we have a light gunship with Transport 6, presumably to take the sappers into combat. Now, I don't think we're juicing as much as you can be with HDF, and so this is one of the armies. Oh yeah, go on.
So yeah, only Dave has made a list for this army. I haven't made a list for it. So
of course.
So I'm going to give my critiques for this list, and then we'll see what you've come up with.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so first of all, I presume it's spare points over, but extended buff range on the infantry squad doesn't do anything. Because extended buff range is now the opposite, right? It's things can target me.
No, the unit targeting me has to have this rule as well.
Oh, is it both? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so sure. I still spend points, but I don't really see where that's going that makes it important.
I think it is just to buff the battle tank at a further away.
Okay, so things that I do and don't like. I don't think you actually need infantry squads surrounding company leaders. Mm-hmm, I think if you're going for a really, really cheap buff stick, I think you can just have a really cheap buff stick, and then you can separate the infantry squads for more activations, and you can move the board. I don't know where we're at with activations for this list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we're capped out already. But perhaps I would bring those out, spend some points elsewhere. I don't think we need them. Other things that I'm not a huge fan of here, the sappers. I think you kind of highlighted them as we went past them. The problem with sappers, right, is quality 5 with 6 shots. Sometimes you just miss them all. And now they don't have Relentless. It doesn't make up for the fact they're quality 5 as much anymore. The Flamer version of these are really nice because they hit on 2-ups, so they're reliable and cheap. But these ones kind of miss the mark a little. I think the battle tank is too expensive for my likings. I think if you compare the battle tank to the field artillery, it's really hard to justify having the battle tank. Because yes, the battle tank has got 9 attacks AP2 and AP2 blast or whatever, but the field artillery is a fraction of the price and is more aggressive because of indirect. And yes, it loses an AP, but it's so cheap and you can buff it with stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I think it ends up being not worth bringing a battle tank almost. Okay. At least in its loadout here. I haven't seen its other loadouts. I don't know if it can get up to maybe 15 attacks or something. But maybe if there was a company leader, the company leader tank, maybe he can go a bit harder because then you'd have a buff stick instead. I think that's... Oh no, actually that can't buff anymore, can it? It lost its precision shooter buff. I believe that was gone. But maybe if that one has a better loadout or something like that. I'm not amazed by what's going on in front of me with the battle tank. That's a quarter of your army and it's only shooting, it's doing 12 hits a turn max, which is not enough for me. And yeah. So then light walkers, I think light walkers are great, right? Like this is kind of like, I guess the reason why we've got deadly sappers instead, because these guys are all flamers. Mm-hmm. I think for such a cheap unit that sends itself up the board and threatens things, they're great, right? You can stick them in 3s and they can take sides of the board on their own and they're not too expensive. So I like that inclusion. The light gunship is here just to carry the sappers. For 220 points, it's okay. I actually would probably just prefer an APC for that price point. I guess this does introduce more deadly, but once again, it's still deadly on a 4-up. I think one of the HDF problems is not being able to get like reliable deadly, because if you're putting precision shooter buff on the battle tank, you've got one other thing to put it on, and there's loads of things that need it, right? The sappers need it, the light gunship needs it, the field artillery needs it, kind of. So yeah, I think I'd be trying to find a better way of doing this. I just think if you're going to go sappers, they need to be buffed. And it's hard to buff them if they're in a transport, but they need to be in a transport, which kind of puts you in a weird spot. Yeah. So I'd be looking for other places on the list where I can get deadly from, or alternatively, just ignoring deadly and going like, well, fuck it, like it doesn't matter. I think actually the company leader tank guy, at least in the current iteration of the game, can get like loads of wounds worth of deadly. I think he can be like this ultimate deadly tank, and I think if that still exists, I would go down that route instead. Okay. But like I said, I didn't get a chance to look at HDF, so Yeah.
The biggest problem I have with Relentless and Sappers and the transport is to get out of the transport, you need to take a move action.
Yeah.
So you're guaranteed one round of not using it. And then just hold is so restrictive. It's so punishing.
Also, they're sappers, right? They're coming out, they're shooting, and then they're dying the next round.
They are dying. Yeah, exactly.
They need to kill their target.
Which I don't think they can do. That's a huge
on
problem.
average it's 6 wounds, right? Because you're not getting Relentless. And sometimes, like I say, because it's a 5-up, you spike and you get 1 hit, maybe, right? Or you get no hits. And yeah, sometimes the opposite happens, but more often than not, I feel like with 5-ups,
your spikes are more likely to be crap than good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me talk you through what my idea was with this one. Now, I am all for, let's start with the field artillery. I'm all for it. But my thoughts were, let's have one be a deadly one instead. It is slightly cheaper, which is wild to me. It is slightly cheaper to have a deadly field artillery. So one of each of those, thank you very much. But let's make that qual 3 with artillery a bit better. Let's have our favourite, a nearly naked hero, the company leader with precision shooter buff. The idea with this guy is you put your artillery down, he sits in the middle, you buff one of them the first round, they're both moving up usually anyway. Into the second round, you can buff the other one. Their first shots are really going to be on 2-ups, which is going to be nice and reliable. It's not going to change the shape of the game entirely, but it gives them a bit more efficacy, I think. And so it's a very cheap package because the 3 of them together is just over 300 points. Yeah, 315 points. And that's a really nice little group of 3 things that can hold a back objective. Yes, they're very squishy, but you don't mind. It's 3 activations. It's very effective.
They're kind of annoying to deal with as well because you have to activate 3 times to kill them.
Yeah. And if your opponent kills the 2 artillery pieces, you've still got this one guy running around buffing the rest of your army, nearly, instead. Well, it's actually only 2 units. Call myself out there. Now, Light Walkers, let's talk about them, because they've got this amazing new upgrade package. And for those of you who don't follow it either too closely or aren't on the beta, the current proposal is to increase the battle value for Tough 6 units to 150%, i.e. Tough 6, max output 9 wounds, which is 1 pip higher than it is currently. It's just a nice little sweetening for me. Tough 6 is in an awkward spot. They may be costed properly, but ultimately they don't do enough damage for how quickly they die. But I think that this extra little bit is a nice little sweetener, taking them a bit further forward. And I think Light Walkers with their heavy flamers are good, Scout good, and now you can give them 3 extra hits. Here it's on a blast attack instead, over 15 inches. AP1, I think it's kind of fine for a 175 point unit, and I had spare points to give them stealth at the end. So I think that for a scouting flamery unit, let's give it a bit more blast, and who knows, sometimes it can just do 9 hits quite effectively with AP1, which will be really good. So I put 2 of those in. Then I was thinking, where are we going to get some punch? A combat walker. Walkers as well in this new patch. With the AP reduction, we've seen the Balval application on Tough 12 more liberally applied. So you will see a lot more Tough 12 units pumping all the way up to their maximum 16 attacks, which we've got here. In fact, it's 17 here. Quick maths, 14, 17. So even that's been changed that I'd overlooked. But what you end up with, if you've got 17 attacks on this thing with Furious, it's going to have the chance of just blowing things up. We've got loads of AP1, a bit of AP2. I'm very tempted by HDF because of just, I love a big fat Tough 12 unit. I think that's quite good. Yeah, I do. Then as the core, I don't like the, not recruits, what are they called? Infantry squads so much. When you can have veterans that are now, because of the nerfs to veterans, they are pretty much just better infantry squads. So I've brought 2 units of veterans here. One of them is scouting. One of them is not, and I've included an APC for that down here. The units both have a company leader with precision shooter buff in it to make them more effective. I've given them both the full fusion rifles loadout so that they can be my effective anti-tank, hitting on 3s. You've got the versatility of having one in an APC to move around the board a bit better. And then I had spare points, so Hold the Line Boost Aura came in.
Yep.
Then I was toying with what to do for my last 200-ish points before adding in the extra boost and stealth. I thought bikes were a really good place to go. You can have these hunting lances on them. They're very cheap. They're fast. You can now have hunting lances and impact, or hunting lances and I think hand weapons, I think was the other option. But this is just quite brilliant because just flinging 10 attacks on 2-ups is quite good. And this is where we've ended up, and I'm quite pleased with it. It's the sort of army that I'd feel very happy to bring.
Yeah, I think overall, I couldn't see the light APC for the longest time, and I was like, surely there was a way we can fit Scout on these other veterans. But yeah, this is taking advantage of the new APC changes, right? 140 points for something with Transport 11. Yes, it's only 3 def. It's great, right? Like that's
it is great.
A lot of movement, right, for a unit to get. I like this army. I think it's really nice and well rounded. The deadly field artillery, like, I think it's a nice addition. I don't know if we have too much deadly at that point because you've got deadly kind of a couple of different places.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it depends on the map, right? Like if you've got a nice map, then A2, AP3, deadly 3 is just a really, really nice profile to have. It's got nice against aircraft. It's nice just like for killing in tough 3s, whatever, right? Like it's really, really well rounded. And you can just shoot at whatever you want with it. I think the light walkers are cool. The new cluster missiles, I don't know how much they cost. I like them, right? The problem is, like, I hate 4-ups. So, like, it is a 4-up, right? And it's a blast thing, so you are rolling 1 die, so you might miss them all the time. But the ability for these guys to now split fire is kind of interesting.
Yes.
And also now they're Def 3, they're a lot more killable. But having stealth is kind of nice, right? Because you're scouting them and you can place them on the board correctly. Does Scout get a nerf? Is it 9 inches now?
Scout is now 9 inches, not 12.
9 inches, yeah. Which is fine, right? Because you're going to do 6-inch, 12-inch, right, for shooting. So it doesn't matter too much that these guys have been reduced down to 9. Whereas other things where Scouts come in,
melee units will feel the Scout sting a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or things that we're hoping to scout and stand still. Those kind of suffered as well. But yeah, I like this list. I think the combat bikers are the only place where it's a little bit of a question mark. I wonder if that's too fragile. I don't know. I'm always not sure about combat bikers. But one thing I do like is that their anti-tank lancers now have thrust, where they didn't before. So they're basically a dead upgrade because it was like, I'm never going to downgrade +1 to hit for the sake of deadly because it's so unreliable. So that's a really nice change that's been introduced there as well.
That is one of the 2 changes I think that have made this bike unit in particular very appealing. The other change that's currently in beta that I think makes bike units in general and cavalry units more appealing is the change of in melee strike range going up to 3 inches. Which is going to do so much for making these units so viable. We've spoken about that quite a bit on the channel.
Yeah.
The time I've experienced it was feeling so bad for an opponent when he charged 10 Vampiricum Dead hunting wolves, I think they are. The dogs on the Games Workshop 60 by something bases. They're massive. Charged them right into the middle of a unit. In the middle of the board into one of my units, but because of awkward terrain, got like 3 of them in or something with the 2-inch
which is a death sentence, right?
Yeah, and it was just he charged them in, put them there, and went, "Oh, I actually can't do the big attack I wanted to do," and I was just like, "I don't know," because it was really. I said to him, "You can take it back and do something else," and he was like, "There's nothing else to do. This is really what they're there for," and it just screwed him over. So I think that. I mean, it wouldn't help him much in that situation, but it will help overall.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. The combat bikers are great then. The only piece here that stands out to me as potentially a weak link in this army, hilariously, is actually the combat walker.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, right? Because I think everything else is so explosive. Everything else starts at the board, or it's got transport, or it's got fast, or the field artillery's got the range. The combat walker is the only thing that's kind of like dawdling up the board, which isn't always a bad thing. But yeah, it might be interesting to see like an aircraft in that position, and then you could load the combat bikers into the aircraft and do the kind of fucking rad as fuck, like drop the back thing, bikes come out of it, kind of visual. And then you'd have a couple more points to play with elsewhere as well. I don't know where those would end up going. Maybe you could put a leader in the combat bikers or something. But just a thought, because I do worry that combat walker like 12 inches and 12 inches, and then the fighting's already finished.
He does 2 combats and can't make up his 400 points.
Yeah, and you get 4 up by him or something. But yeah, overall, I like this list. I think it's good. I think it's an improvement over the base one. I think, the tank is the big standout thing that I think it was not filling its points, I don't think, enough. And the Combat Walker is a lot better in that category. I think the only thing to say about the tank is finding a way of making it more aggressive. If you're going to run a tank, it needs to be really aggressive.
Yeah.
Because what you need, when you're spending that much points on a unit, it needs to be on the board. So it needs to be on objectives. And it needs to be doing stuff while it's there as well. So a tank like that's not kitted out so amazingly with lots of things, I think needs to be a bit more aggressive. And I don't know if that's possible. Like I say, I haven't actually looked at the HCF list, but I'd be looking for ways of making it more aggressive.
Yeah. So that upgrade with 1 for an extra 3 pips of damage that we've seen on the Light Walker is something you can do with the battle tank. So I think you can end up with 15 shots-ish, 15 wounds worth of shots from the core loadout. It is something like that. So you get to 15 as the max on the normal battle tank. I'm not sure what it is with the tough 15 hero one, but that's about where you can get it to.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. The tough 15 is actually looking kind of great. So it starts off with 9 blast, 3 with shred. On top of that, it's got a flamethrower, so that's then 12.
By which you mean 3 blast 3, so 9 total.
Yeah, sorry, 3 blast 3 for a total of 9. It's got another flamer, so we're up to 12 already. Then it's got a heavy machine gun as well, so we're up to 15 already. And interesting enough, the heavy machine gun is actually an assault gun, so it's got overrun, which is the new thing instead of impact. So actually, it has a melee profile as well. It can do attacks in melee. So that's the kind of thing that can move up the board and start doing stuff. So I'd be more inclined to go in that direction, and you could change some stuff in and out, whatever. Like for 25 points, you can give it another assault flamer, which is kind of hilarious because then it becomes actually it's kind of somewhat scary melee unit all of a sudden.
Have you seen the meme of? I think it is like a game.
Drive me closer so I can hit him with my sword.
So I can hit him with my sword. And that's actually becoming drive me towards it so I can hit him with my sword. I love it.
Yeah, so if you want to go for a tank, I'd probably try that route instead, or find ways of getting more on the base battle tank profile.
Oh man, is that actually better than the Combat Walker? It'll be more expensive. It's like a 500 point plus model there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Is that a bit more exciting than the Combat Walker? I don't know. The Combat Walker has Furious.
Yeah, and it also has Surge as well. So
yeah, very true. All right,
doubles. Yeah,
Verl. So that's where we end up with the Human Defense Force. Ladies and gentlemen, and everything outside and in between, it's spooky time. Yeah. Right, I'll give the pitch, and I will let you take the lead on your spooky boys. Valadir, thank you for your submission, Valadir, says, first foray into Ghostly Undead. His group is big on Skirmish with the new rules. Naturally, Skirmish is looking amazing. And this just takes the Skirmish game plan and scales it to 2,000 points. The goal is to have a 1-2 punch with something likely to shake or at least fatigue, followed up by a Reap squad, because Reap has changed. And then there is some editing to add some more reasoning. The Ghost Hordes and Revenant crews are the first hit and are there to shake and hold objectives. The Hex Knights and Reapers are on cleanup duty with 1 to 2 shakes in the top half. Will have a large activation priority going into the bottom half of the game. And then the Chariot and Caster group are support units to give buffs and harass as needed. They've tried one game with a lot of ambush and it didn't feel great. GU feels like it needs to have a lot of board presence from the first activation or falls apart. Now, I can only presume that when beta went live, Harvey, you were straight into the ghosts.
I can't actually remember it now. I can't remember what I did first, but I do normally go straight to the ghosts. Yeah, okay, so what do I think about this list? I think the Ghost Horde's kind of weirdly out of place. I think the Ghost Revenants with Scout are an interesting choice. Ghost Revenants are in a weird position, really, because they're not very mobile. They're absolute world beaters, but they're just not very mobile. So giving them Scout Aura helps with that. But with the Scout nerfs, they're a lot less far up the board, so it's not helping enormously. I can't remember if I actually kept those in my end version of it.
Look at these sickles, though. Like 8 attacks with Shred on Furious.
Yeah, so obviously the way the game works now is you get a lot of A1 and then you get these kind of powerful weapon upgrades. So that's 16 attacks, which is still less than what you'd expect from most units. But what it has meant is lots of ghostly undead units now get access to A2 in a way they couldn't before. So we've gone from a roster of 4 units to a roster of like at least 9, which is great. So things that I like here as well. So Hex Knights have actually received a change. They never used to have impact. They used to have crossing attack as their only thing.
These were those. Okay.
So now they have that as an upgrade, and they get impact as well, which makes this a much, much better unit.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah. So the other things that stand out for me is the Craven shooters. I think Craven shooters, I actually petitioned for them to get crossbows, which they do now have crossbows, and also indirect's been changed, which is good for them. But I still think it's a crap unit and not really worth bringing.
Yeah, that's pretty naff.
It doesn't quite do it for me, and like spending the extra probably like 5-10 points on musician as well feels like a waste. So that stands out to me as bad. But overall, I really like that this person has come together with a game plan. I think that's really fun. Like they've got a clear vision in their mind. They know where the units are playing on the board, and they know how to kind of make the most of that. Now, it's been a couple of days since I made the new version of the list, so let's hope I stuck with that theme, because past Harvey may have been crueler. But yeah, here we go. Okay, so here's my version of the list. So what have I done? I have embraced the caster. Of course I have. So I think...
Have we got 4 or 3? How many casters?
I think we have 3, maybe 2.
2 caster 3s and a caster 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what I've got here is, we're at 2,000 points, right? So we get access to 5 hero slots. So I've maxed out the heroes. I think the heroes are great. So we've got 2 casters inside the Ghost Reapers. So this is what we saw before. So you already had the Ghost Reapers in there, but I've added casters into it. I think casting is just nice. There's a couple of nice little effects in here, but really casting is just like, that basically, right? Buffing to hit, right? So everything's going to get a lot more aggressive in the list, which is nice. And also just like having some ranged attacks and being able to buff your Empyrean Spirit and stuff is kind of cool. So you always get that -1, because one of the things they mentioned was that it seems like you need a really good turn 1 to be able to be in the game. And casting is amazing in turn 2, but it's still really great in turn 1, right? Like giving half your army a +1 buff is great. And if you can then start layering in some -1s to hits and stuff as well, it works well. But yeah, just front loading damage is good. So I've got those 2 casters. So they exist inside the Ghost Reaper units. So that's what we had before, where these Ghost Reaper units sit behind the army. And on their first turn, they can move up and maybe get counter charges if that's already existing. But it means they now have something else to do as well, because the casters can go in and start casting spells on 2-ups thanks to Spell Amplifier.
And these Reapers are just pretty... Oh, okay. We haven't spoken about this Reap rule yet, but the loadout made me think that the whole unit had A2. But no, that's not the case.
No. So they don't have a massive amount of attacks, which is why getting +1 to hit on them is quite nice. But yeah, so turn 1, these things can move up. They're probably not going to be in charge range, and they buff your whole army with +1 to hit, getting ready to go into that round 2. The thing I brought into this list, which I think is an auto take really, are Banshees. Banshees are so good. They're great for 2 reasons. One, so it's the only ranged unit in the list, right? Having 1 ranged unit is great. You should always have 1 ranged unit, because it's useful to be able to just like influence the board where you want, and they don't require that much protection because they have the rest of the army, which is all melee, to protect them. The other reason why they're great is it draws enemies' attention so much, having 1 ranged unit, right? All they want to do is kill that 1 ranged unit. Now, Banshees are great because of the ethereal rule. So the ethereal rule says anytime before attacking, you can place within 6 inches, but then you're not allowed to, you move 6 inches less with advanced rush or charge. So you can do this and then hold. Right, and so you'll notice we have Relentless Aura.
Yeah.
So these things can move like normal and still benefit from Relentless. So what you have here is actually this really, really strong unit that has like a load of attacks. What is it? 8 + 8, 16 attacks, right? So that's as many as the Ghost Revenants we were talking about before. But at range, and it costs less, and they hit on 3-ups, and they've got exploding 6s that they always get because they're never otherwise. And they've got Shred on their things, which Shred is a really nice aggressive thing, and Split Fire, yeah. So this is a great unit for literally just 250 points, right? That is so cheap for what this is. So I'd always include one of these. Now, the other caveat of this is a unit you put at the front, right? It's short range anyway, right? But you play it like the Ghost Horde you had before, right? You had that Ghost Horde in there, you put it in the middle of the board, things charge it, whatever. That's kind of how you treat this unit. You want it to get at least 1 round of attacks off, and you want it to be in a position where you can countercharge it. But play around terrain, right? You've got ethereal, you can just blink into whatever terrain you want. People can't charge you. You can blink over your units as well. 6 inches is far enough to do that, as long as you lay things thin. So you can blink over, do some shooting, and then if it gets charged, it doesn't matter, you counter charge. So I think all Ghostly Undead lists should always have Banshees in them. You don't have to run with the Ancient Banshee inside. You could do something else instead if you wanted to. But I quite like just that little extra 4 attacks, and the Relentless is nice in there. And then from there, I brought in some more mobile things. So we had this whole countercharge thing, but I think we had too much countercharge going on, right? I think if you think about the amount of Reap you need for charging Shaken units, first of all, Shaken units are not a problem.
No,
right?
First, let's just introduce Reap, because we haven't actually outlined it, which is a new construction of the rule. Reap ignores regen, we're used to that, and when attacking units that are shaken, they must re-roll defense rolls of 4 to 6. So we're used to this Bane, Poison, re-roll 6s. This is an expanded one, a greatly expanded one, but only when charging shaken units.
Yep.
Interesting new rule. I don't think it's fantastic. I think it's probably less than fine, but it's still quite an interesting way of playing this 1-2 punch, this setup and recharge, countercharge style. And I know you did previously like a countercharge style Ghostly Undead unit, or army, sorry. Anyway.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. So the advantage of Ghostly Undead have always had is their low defense. Now, they're not like that as much anymore. They used to have Def 6 across the board. Now they've got Def 5 and loads of things. But so I don't think we needed as much Reapers as we had. I kept in the Ghost Reapers and gave them casters to give them a bit more of a use, because I think that unit is not amazing with all that Reap, right? Like I think it's cheap enough that it's okay, and the caster in there kind of helps with that. But you don't need as much Reap as you've got there, because most of the time you're not going to have many things shaken on a turn. But I kind of like them as a thematic, and I think they're cheap enough to include with the caster, and that kind of makes sense. The Hex Knights, on the other hand, I think are great because they are mobile, right? So they are fast and they are traversal, so they can go through units, which is great for Reap, right? Because most of the time you're obviously going to be shaking things in melee for most of the case in this army, right? So then getting a charge over the top or around your units is great. You're going to save a lot of space there. And you also have Ethereal, right? So you can also blink 6 inches over terrain and stuff. So this is a super mobile unit. It's going to be able to get into those places where you need it to be able to get those attacks, to be able to kill the shaken unit. So I like these guys. I think they're good. I think they kind of fit within the theme of the army. Other things I did is the Ghost Chariot, I think, was a ranged version before. I brought that down to a melee version. I think for the most part, we don't need that. I think 6 attacks on a 4-up is not good enough. Whereas this gives it a couple of extra attacks in melee with thrust, which means it's more reliable. It's got that impact 4 as well, and then caster 2 to help buff throw tokens to the other casters, so you can get those. So you can get those buffs off on 2-ups.
It's very nice having caster 2s where previously you might have stacked an army to have 3 caster 3s, where you've got 2 primary casters and 1 feeder, but the maths isn't perfect. Now having 2 caster 3s with their spell amplifier weapons and a caster 2 beneath it means that it's just very reliably and evenly passing out 2-up spells. And that's where there's quite a few units like this where they're like tough 6, tough 9, somewhere in the bottom of the list, and they're caster 2. I think it's very nice to have those now. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, 8 tokens is great because 8 tokens means you cast 2 3-up spells with the new spell amplifying staff on 2-ups, right? So that's perfect. You can use, I think they've got 6 hits, 24 inches. Is that their max level spell, I think, at the moment? Yeah, so you can throw that out if you want to, do a bit of poking from far away, or you can buff your whole army with +1 to hit, which is nice. So yeah, in terms of like, you had this idea of like a formation basically in your list, right, which I liked. So I've kind of kept a similar idea here, right? So if you imagine your formation is you've got your 2 scout units on your left and right on the front rank, you've got your Banshees in the middle on that front rank, your Glaive Stalkers, which I haven't spoken about. Glaive Stalkers are an amazing unit, right? They're super fragile,
incredible.
But precision feat means they get +1 to hit once per game. Thrust means they get +1 to hit, so they're up to a 3-up to hit, and then you've got that spell to give them +1 to hit. So this is basically 20 hits with a hitting on a 2-up, which is great, right? So this is a really good countercharge unit, and is a little bit more punchy than some of the other units that are stacked full of Reap. So what I imagine is, so you've got your 2 scout units, you've got your Banshees in the middle, you've got your Glaive Stalkers for countercharging, right? They can come in and help cover off the Banshees. Your opponent doesn't want to get too close to the Banshees because these things will come in and slam on them. Then in the ranks behind, you've got your Ghost Reapers with your champions, you've got your Hex Knights floating around the middle, and your Ghostly Chariot as well. So they exist kind of in the back, and they're there for that countercharging stuff, and the Ghost Chariot just needs to be in range of the 2 casters. So you still get to play that kind of formation style. We pull back little bit back on the Reap, get a little bit more aggression out of this list. And yeah, I think the 9-inch Scout Aura does temper the ability for you to go crazy on round 1. So it's better to kind of play into this round 2 where you buff your whole army, get ready for charges, and then you have these units in the front rank, which, like you say, can take charges or whatever. But yeah, a little bit more mobility and a little bit more reason to walk towards you as well, because the Banshees are going to move 6 and shoot 9, which is 15-inch threat range, which is great, right? And they're going to start destroying units with that as well, because they effectively hit on a 2-up, and they're shooting 16 shots, which is a lot of shots.
That's good. That's very good indeed. All right. Thank you, Ghost King of the World. That is some lovely little tech and breakdown. So our next submission by Josh has 4 words: Mega Sweat Beta Sisters. Which, you know, a word can paint 1,000 pictures. That's not quite right, but we know what you're getting at here, Josh. We know what the cut of your jib is, and this jib in particular cuts a certain way. We've got 2 naked novice leaders, 30 points. Excellent work there, everybody. 2 units of novice sisters with dual hand weapons and bravery aura. That is a theme that I repeat in mine, not quite the same loadout, but I imagine Harvey does the same. Yep. 2 units of these deadly shooting Celestial Warrior sisters with a precision target upgrade on them. A very nice unit indeed, and one I like.
Great unit, yeah.
Great unit. 3 biker fanatics. No, I didn't actually proof this, but I think you can pump it even harder than it is here. But a devout, piercing charge, fast unit that's super duper cheap with a bit of built-in resilience because it's tough 3. I think they are really, really good. I think bikes, tough 3 bikes, this is your time, everybody. I love it. I don't know what way to build Battle Brothers because of how good I think bikes are now, but we'll come on to that later. We've got an Assault Walker, great unit, 9 attacks, Scout, Devout, overall very good. An Infernal APC, but this one isn't quite loaded out to the 9s, is it? No, it's got 9 damage of output in shooting, armor 2-up, and then a Procession Altar. If you like the phrase keyword soup, this thing is for you. So it's been upgraded, so it's a tough 9, it's transport 6, it's a def 2-up, and it gives out all of the things that you need in melee. Precision fighter, guarded for +1 to defense rolls if you haven't moved this turn, so you're resilient on being attacked but not on the crack back. It's a bit awkward there. Bravery buff, which is morale once, which is fine, and then the thing itself hits you 11 times with thrusty, purgy, devouty melee stuff. It may carry things in it, but it smacks. So what do we end up with? We end up with an army that has got 20 wounds, dealing 40 attacks with exploding 6s on 5-ups. We've got a big, punchy, devout, deadly unit, but unfortunately only one way of getting them anywhere closer. Bike Fanatics, which are good, but I think we can do better. Assault Walker, which is good, but I'm pretty sure you can build this better. And Infernal APC, which is good, but again, I think you can build it better. Yeah,
that's kind of the feeling I got from most of this. I think, you know, having an armored personnel carrier that doesn't carry things is a bit weird. All the transport is in for the Procession Altar here, right? So we're putting 2 units of Celestial Warrior Sisters inside the Procession Altar. Because it's got transport 12, because that's a transport 6 upgrade on top of transport 6.
I'd missed that, but yes, okay.
Yeah, so the APC doesn't actually carry anything in this build. So, which is interesting to me because I imagine it's probably the same amount of points to add transport to the APC as it is to the altar, and the APC is obviously rocking Def 2 here. So it's a lot of eggs in one basket vibe here, which I think is risky. It's a weird one with Procession Altar, right? Because to get its guarded buff, it needs to have activated. And if it's activating, it's probably moving. And if it's moving, it's not getting its guarded buff.
Yeah. You're right, it is the same cost. Also, I will say, having played my fair whack of Blessed Sisters in my time, the Infernal APC is just one of my favorite transport units in the game because you drop off a Celestial Warrior Sisters, whatever, one of these special support Sisters units, and then it just goes around setting everything on fire and being a menace.
It is a real menace, isn't it?
I don't know if that's just previous success with the army influencing what I think should be the decision now, but it is an excellent transport, if not the best in the game.
Obviously, the hit the Infernal APC has taken is it now has to hold to be able to get Devout, which is quite annoying, really, for the old Infernal APC. But, I mean, if you're double moving it to get something into range, then next turn you're probably able to hold. But, yeah, it's still not great. But, yeah, so I think this list is like, it's got all the right pieces, but I think there's just some optimizations that can make it even better.
I agree.
Yep.
And let's see, who have we got first? We've got you. You, I said that quite aggressively. We've got your list first. I wonder how close this is to mine. You've kept the altar in and the sisters. Okay, we have got some difference. Talk about yours.
Okay, so 2 naked heroes. Hell yeah, brother. I actually originally cut them because the first thing I do is always cut naked heroes because they're a total like after edition. So yeah, you got your naked heroes, like why they're in there, right? They're there to take objectives and that kind of stuff. I upgraded the novice sister stacks because I think novice sister stacks can be way, way scarier than what you made them. Through 2 things. One is regeneration aura. Actually, 3 things. One is regeneration aura, right? Okay, so this makes them so much more durable, right? They go from a 6-up to a 6-up into a 5-up, which is just so great, right? Yes, you eat shit to Bane, but who cares, right? This is a crazy unit. So yeah, this is a million attacks hitting on 5, 6s explode when you get the charge. If you bury a celestial sister in there, then not only do you get shred in melee, which increases the damage by a crazy amount, but also your sacred banner for your bravery aura is starting to look like it makes a lot more sense now, because now you've got 2 up morale as well, right? So
God, it's like Alien Hives.
This is basically an Alien Hives unit, right? So yes, I've increased the cost of this unit by quite a lot, but regen gives it 50% more wounds. Bravery now is a 2 up morale. Shred is a crazy more damage. So now you have these 2 scary units that are hard to move and also destroy things when they charge them, which I think is great. To pay for that, I did take out some stuff. I got rid of the bikers. That was what I got rid of. The bikers, I mean, they're not really my jam. 145 points, fine, right? But I think we've got naked sisters to serve their role, so we don't need that. I also pulled back on the double deadly. I think double deadly was overkill for me.
Yes, I agree.
I think you can do it, right? Like based on your local meta, like make a judgment call, right? Like, but it by pulling back on the double deadly and going instead for flamers, I gave myself a few more points to play with some other stuff. So yeah, that's what I've done. So I've got 1 unit of deadly and I've got 1 unit of blast. I kept the procession altar in there. I went back and forth on this like a million times as to whether or not I wanted it. I could not make my mind up about whether it was a good purchase or not. But the one thing I did do is I moved that transport buff over. I also didn't pay for the extra Def 2 on the Infernal APC. I think for the most part, because you've got the 2 naked sisters and the novice sisters that are moving up the board, your activation stalling kind of enough to make it work. And you don't need to go crazy on this. So instead I went for a much more aggressive build where it's got 9 attacks, but Def 3. So it's like a little bit more glass cannony, which I think is fine. His version also had that, but he had the 18-inch version. Yeah. Whereas I've got the 12 version. So this is really a transport. It moves at the board, it drops off its target, and then it starts causing chaos.
215 points. This is a phenomenal transport. Because it does exactly what you need it to do in terms of it being a transport. Def 3 is fine when you're tough 9 anyway. And then after that, you just set everything on fire. Like, it's really good. It's taken a huge nerf with this new Devout rule, but it's still fantastic.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I went with that. And then I think the Assault Walker is basically the exact same. I may have changed some things around, but I gave it an extra attack.
Extra attacks, yeah. So this is 30 points more expensive.
Made it a bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I say, little optimizations. Most of the units are the same. You could go either way with the APCs and the procession altar, right? Like if you wanted to bring back the Def 2 and move some stuff around, you could do that. I think also, did that procession altar have Def 2? I can't remember if it did or not.
It did. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you could move some points around it to make it work again. But I think maybe there was too much deadly kicking around. I think having some targeted deadly is good. But having double deadly, I think, starts to lose out to certain things. Like, I think you would have started to struggle against some of the more chaffy style playstyles. And I think having stuff like Shred on the sisters and giving them regen stuff helps that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit local meta dependent. You could try and bring back in the double deadly if you wanted to pull some points from some places. Like the novice leaders don't need to exist really in this build. You could pull those and get some more deadly ones or whatever. But I think for the most part, I just kind of like flattened out a bit. I brought things down a bit, brought the sisters up a bit. So everything's now around the 300 point mark.
Which, you brought the novices up a bit. Yeah, you're seeing loads of tough 3 spam custodians, prime brothers with all their destroyers and heavy dudes and bikes and all that sort of stuff. Then, yeah, I can see leaning into the double celestial deadly squad. But I agree, this is just a bit nicer. I actually think. Oh, yeah, go on.
I was just going to say that obviously the glaring thing in this list is the support sisters who get the double on hold treatment.
Yeah,
both Relentless and Devout, which does suck. But what I will say is 190 points for, on average, 15 AP1 hits is going to do a lot. Like, you don't need to get those extra buffs off for this to be a really effective unit. Yes, it would be slightly cheaper if it didn't have those rules, but that's really, really doing a lot. So, yeah, I think this plays into a slightly more like well-rounded meta, but if you've got a more elite meta, then yeah, perhaps your list is slightly more aligned. But I'd still make the other changes around here. I still think the Celestial High Sisters are totally worth putting in the Novice Sisters to give you that full package to really, really take advantage of what it's offering, which is like crazy attacks multiplied by shred, multiplied by regen, or multiplied by like morale, right? Like these are absolute world beaters now. Whereas before they were like annoying and lots of models, but they weren't aggressive as well, and they weren't as durable.
Yeah, I think that that is certainly one way of building up the Novice Sisters, and it is a terrifying way. Let me show you what I did. It's simple, but effective. Now, I have varied quite a bit away from the core design, but that's because I've just brought you one of the sweatiest sister builds that I could possibly make, and I love it, and I'm excited to play it. Novice Sisters, brilliant. I've kept their loadout very similar to what makes them amazing now. Just really, really simple. The fact you have 20 wounds with regen, they're excellent. Each one has got 2 attacks and Devout when you're charging. This is a great unit as it is. Yes, you can make it really, really uber scary for like 90 more points with the hero in as well. But I was saving all of that to juice up in some other ways.
Yep.
I've brought in one of the units of Celestial Warrior Sisters, same sort of mindset as what you had. I think you only need one, but it is meta dependent, but this is a bit more rounded. The Infernal APC, I have jammed it up to have as many blasty shots as possible, and that includes a Pintle Flamer. It is only 6-inch range, which is a pain when you would like to hold with Devout, but you're also a fast strider, transport, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, if you find a time when you are holding with more than one attack in a game, you're probably already winning that game. So sadly, that's a bit wasted, but I think that this is incredible because you stick your Deadly Sisters in it, you toot up the board if you want, you've got fast and you're doing shooting and setting things on fire, and then these 6 sisters get out with 18-inch of threat range and just continue to melt, hit on 2s with precision target, just have a great time. Assault Walkers, so nice you bring them twice, and similar sort of loadout. I think mine's slightly more expensive than yours. You've got Assault Blast 3, AP1
Surge
reliable.
instead of AP2.
And Surge instead of AP2. Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, but I think those are the same costs, AP1 and Surge and AP2.
I think so as well. I think the difference is our assault weapons, and I've got this dual assault heavy machine guns,
which is slightly more expensive.
But I think that this is just going to be such a great unit to use. You just charge in with it, 12 attacks, you're scouting already, 305 points. I'm quite happy with a Def 3 regen. It does have a Def 2 upgrade option, I think, but I was happy as it was. Now, bikes. I think bikes are looking great because of the assault rule, because effectively all of those guns that you had that you might have felt bad about using in the past because they were a bit mixed and mashed, now you're just a huge blocky melee unit. At 175 points, they are so cheap for what is effectively 4 attacks each. 12 attacks on your 3x3 units. Devout, the hold half of it sucks and makes you feel really, really sad about where your shooting armies are going. Your charging armies are where they want to be, because now we're just orcs and we're loving it. We've got some AP2 buried in there with the Sergeant's Plasma Pistol. We've got some AP1 with a Lance, and everything else just charges and makes them roll defense saves. It's 175 points. Don't expect it to take on the world, but it will do a damn good job. So yeah, flat, effective. I like it.
2 out of 10. No naked heroes.
No naked heroes, I'm afraid. And the Novice Sisters aren't as juicy as yours are.
Yeah. I do like my juicy. I like
yeah,
my
that is very good. That is a very good unit. But I'm quite happy with the way that came out. I'm excited to play some Blessed Sisters because I'm excited to play orcs with another loadout. Really, is what I'm excited to do.
Yeah.
It'll be good. Brill. So those are our Sweaty Sisters. Let's move on to the Blood Brothers. Now, this is one I don't think you did a Blood Brothers list, did you?
I didn't do a Blood Brothers.
All right. So what was our spec for this one? And we apologise as well. Oh, hold on. How have we missed? Okay, we're jumping around a little bit because I can't manage my tabs. We'll come back to Verl's. And we apologise for those of you that we've missed. Where was this Blood Brothers one?
At the bottom.
Cool. Yuwee, thank you for your submission. This is your first attempt at Brothers. You said, I tried to keep the list flexible enough to work with any rule set. It's fairly limited in speed, but it can push early for objectives with the Pathfinders. I like the speed of transport, with Vanguard for getting the support flamers where they need to be. I very rarely come up against aircraft, but Unstoppable Mark gives me an answer if I do. Otherwise, it'll be useful against regen. I'd keep the Battle Brothers in the centre and try and pick off something important with the fusion rifles. The Assault Brothers would come down on turn 2 and hopefully smash something big, or at least position behind cover, ready to charge. I couldn't resist taking the Artillery. A big winner out of this patch is Artillery. It's great bait, and I'm hoping it can crack open a transport or two before one of the crew farts and blows the whole thing away. Lovely, thank you, Yuwee. So, we've got these 2 units of Blood Pathfinders. They are loaded out with shotguns. I think that's a very good unit with Scout. We've got 10 blood-borning shotgunners. We've got flamers in there as well. Really solid unit. I'm not too keen on these Blood Battle Brothers. We've got the Bloodborne Boost Aura for exploding 5s and 6s, which is good. We've got the fusion rifles, which is good. These 18-inch A1 Surge AP1 guns are interesting, especially with Surge and Bloodborne for double proc potential, but I don't love it. The Blood Veteran Assault Brothers is a very expensive unit for 6 toughness. I know it's def 2 regen, but it's something that makes me a bit worried. Blood Support Brothers are good. Attack Speeder, I think, is good. And the Artillery gun we've spoken about as being quite good. What's your take on this?
So yeah, this when I loaded this list up, the only reason I didn't do a list for this one is because I looked at it and I was like, yeah, kind of there. This is already very much don't think just charge style list building. I think there's like this person says, they're trying to make it feel flexible for all rule sets. I think they've done a pretty good job of that. Obviously, it's impossible to really do that, right? Like, you know, ambush is very polarized on one end to the other end. But I think overall, like I just really liked this list. I thought it was good. I think the things that stand out to me, the Blood Battle Brothers are very, very expensive. And yes, they have regen, and yes, they have the Bloodborne Boost Aura, and they are a nice source of deadly in the middle of the board. But I personally, I would split that up into something else. I think there's probably more valuable stuff.
Yeah.
I also question what it's shooting when the Blood Veteran Brothers are existing. I feel like they are the thing that's going to go in and deal with big threats. Between they've got Versatile Warrior and Bloodborne Boost Aura, so those things literally destroy everything.
They will blow things up.
They're blowing things up. They're so hard. They're destroying things. In terms of activations, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is obviously a great number of activations to have. It is a little bit risky with such a expensive ambushing unit. But I think there's not enough flexibility if you're also going for progressive to bring this down to 6 with 1 in ambush. I think the speeder, as you highlighted, like I think is a fun little unit. The Unstoppable Mark, I think you probably didn't need that. I don't know if that's spare points as well. But the Unstoppable Mark, I think, is just too expensive from what I recall.
It's like 50 points or something?
Is it 50 points? It's a lot of points. I'd rather see those points elsewhere. If I was making a change to this list, I would go Unstoppable Mark gone and do something else with the Blood Battle Brothers points, I think. But for the most part, I think you can keep them. They're fine how they are.
25 points, okay.
I think Bloodborne Boost, I think it used to be 50 points. Bloodborne Boost Aura is such an insane thing to get on your base units.
Oh, that is one of my favourite changes, which we are getting into crunchier bits, but all of the Battle Brothers, where they've got that that upgrade for versatile range or something, is now in fact a boost for their army wide. I think that is fantastic. That is a way of making an army feel special, and I'm very pleased to see it coming in.
Yeah, but please, for the love of God, change the Night Brothers aura.
Yeah,
Night Brothers boost goes from a 4-up against spells to a 2-up against spells. What is that shit? Right, like it doesn't even change the 6-up into a 5-up or anything. Right, like it's just awful. Right, never ever take that. Either way, so I think overall this is a good list, and I think it would be tweaking at most. But yeah, the big thing that stands out to me is the Blood Veteran Assault Brothers, who are very durable because they're 2-ups and they've got regen aura, but you never know when someone's going to turn around and kill them before they get to do something.
Yeah.
So yeah, finding a way of like ensuring they get to activate and do their thing would be important to me. As it stands, I think they're too high risk. And then apart from that, so we've got Scout Shotgunners, big win in my books. Flamethrowers in there, excellent choice. I mean, Flamethrowers are great with Bloodborne as well. Bloodborne, is that now on hold and charge as well?
No, Bloodborne is unrestricted.
Yeah, so Flamethrower is absolutely great with that rule. The Blood Artillery gun is actually wild to me.
It's great.
That is such an insane piece. So not only is it 30-inch range, right, with indirect, so it's basically hitting whatever it wants to from the start of the game. It's got artillery, so it's actually hitting on 2-ups, right? And then it has Bloodborne, so if you do roll a 6, you're rolling again on a 2-up, right? Yeah. This is basically a 30-inch range deadly flamer kind of thing. Like that's how reliable this thing is. Yes, it costs as much as a transport, and it needs to get that value to be able to do it. But also, I think a thing that's often not spoken about long range units is if you can place them in a place where your opponent has to move to go kill them, which you will do because this is indirect, you can get a lot of value by denying your opponent activations with the units they want to do. So if turn 1, you just go, okay, I'm going to use my artillery gun, I'm going to shoot your transport, it shakes or dies, whatever. If they then, into round 2, ambush a unit to go deal with your artillery gun and charge the artillery gun, if you placed it well, that ambushing unit now has to start,
right?
Yeah, it has to start moving across the board somehow. And you've already got some value with your thing, and if they never make it to a good place on the board, or if they waste another couple of turns, you've already got the points from it. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like this list. There's a couple things I'd change, but yeah, I think solid, really, really solid for a first go with Brothers, definitely.
Now, I want to say this up front before we go on to see my list. I have no idea how to build the top Brothers lists at the moment. They have been overhauled so much. I've played with them on TTS, skirmish, main game. I've spent a long time trying to figure out Brothers. And so when I started to build my version of this, the wheels fell off and I just built a list I thought was good. I lost complete control over, tried to keep any theme whatsoever. I was so far down the rabbit hole, and I still don't even know where it scales on what would be like the best Brothers lists. I think if you're playing Blood Brothers, I think you're in a good spot. I think also the fact that Prime Brothers are now pretty much exactly the same as normal Brothers means that you have so many choices, such an incredible range of options that it'll be really hard to tell you if something is good, bad on the Brothers scale. It'll be easy to tell you what's bad. Unfortunately, I think Blood Battle Brothers, like the core Battle Brothers units, for example, are not great. They're cool, not great.
I mean, I will say that is, I think the cost is what I think is prohibiting it here, because I think actually the aggressive stat lines are really not that bad because of Bloodborne boost aura and also because of surge on their guns.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like cheating to get to A2 a little bit of the time.
And I like that design.
There's like a 50-50 chance they get a second hit out of it, right? And then obviously the exploding 6s can also explode into more exploding 6s with surge from Bloodborne. But yeah.
If every tough 180 unit got nerfed to being A1 surge, then I'd be way more keen on this in the grand scheme of things. But they're not, because there's loads of shotguns and carbines running around still. And so this just isn't good enough, in my view. It's good, just not quite enough. Blood Brothers are the best example of this profile, I think. Right, so here's what I did. I told you I lost it a bit. I kept the artillery gun, and
Jesus Christ,
that's it. That's pretty much it. We spoke about sisters. I like bikes. We've got lots of bikes in here. And let me show you where my insanity went. So the Blood Artillery gun, yes, it's excellent. Don't change that. That is going to do bits. Let's go to a Dave classic, which is a tough 12 Blood Combat Walker. The Combat Walker loadouts now were kind of fucky. but you do get there eventually. This one ends up being, I think, 16 attacks, 6, 12, 8, 16. Yeah. It's 500 points for a tough 12, but it's qual 3, def 2, 6s do bits. It's got regen. Charge it up the board, try and get into as many combats as possible. If you hit 3 combats with this thing, you're probably doing the best you can. It's going to be chunky, and hopefully it ends up on an objective at the end of the game. Now, Blood Pathfinders are a very nice, cheap, effective unit. Because of pistols now just being blank assault weapons, they're A2 scouts with Bloodborne, Fearless Scout Strider. Really nice, effective unit. They're not going to win you the game, but with Scout, they're going to be in the right place to pressure early. Points reasons came in. So my third unit of them is a shotgun unit with stealth. We couldn't quite afford scouts, but shotgunning Blood Pathfinders at 125 points is really, really good. Now, I repeat, I didn't know what to do. Everything is pretty damn good. The gunship is something I really want to play with, because I think this is where the aircraft nerfs are insanely strong. This 265 point unit has got an incredible amount of damage output. We are looking at 12 damage worth of output here on 3-ups with Bloodborne. We've got Surge rolling in there as well on these Gatling cannons. We've got some Unstoppable. We've got a Deadly Attack in there, which again can just explode because of Bloodborne. It ignores regen. I think that's going to be a really annoying, buzzy thing flying around. And then, don't think just Charge. I think Bikers, where you can get to these A4 profiles at the moment, are just fantastic. So I stuck in a very expensive unit of Blood Brother Bikers. We've got 2 Surge attacks in there, and we've got 2 of them, both of them as well are AP1, which is again great with this Bloodborne. And then I had the points, and I realized that Blood Pathfinder Bikers with no AP but 4 attacks on them are 180 points. That is so cheap for these tough 3-4 attack units with quasi exploding 6s. Now, I've lost the theme a little bit, but I've kept the artillery gun. I think this is somewhere near a pretty good army, mostly because I can just charge with fast, tough 3s.
I think you've got a hard-on for bikes, and I actually think this is a worse list. Controversy. I think the original list is actually better than this list.
I'll take that.
Couple of things. One, there's only 9 attacks on that gunship, right? I'm not going crazy.
3, 6. No, it is 9. Sorry, you are right. Yeah. Yes, it's 9, not 12.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. I think the combat walker, like, anyone could have seen that coming a mile off, right? Like, of course you brought a combat walker in here, right? Like, you love combat walkers. And I think the combat walker is a great, great piece. Regen, def 2, a whole load of attacks, exploding 6s, like fast, fearless and fear, whatever, right? Great unit. I think the little units of 5 Pathfinders, it's weird with these units, right? Because I think this list is lacking AP, is what I think it's going here, right? Like, I think there's, like, the Walker is okay, but it's quite easy to kite. Most of your army isn't dealing, like, the whole left 2 columns can't deal with anything with high defense, so which basically means a Walker could walk into the whole left 2 columns and kill them all.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Because most of them are melee, right? They're just going to die to a Walker. So I think that's an issue. And then because of that, like, yes, they are tough 9 and relatively cheap, but I think they're quite fragile. Which leads you with, like, an artillery gun, a gunship which can't contest objectives, and then a Walker which is winning whatever it's going for. So I actually prefer the original list, controversially.
I'll take it.
But maybe I'll eat my
absolutely take that.
Maybe I'll eat my words with the bikers, though. Maybe I've still got some, like, leftover biker PTSD, but
But at the same time, I have a huge hangover of loving tough 3 things when they've got A4. So my bias is absolutely coming through here. I will absolutely accept that criticism. If I could get my custodians fast, I'd be a really happy boy. I think that's what I'm coming to here, right?
Yeah, probably. But I think I'm sad to see the veteran assault brothers go away. I think they're a cool unit for relatively cheap.
They're cool. It's that classic 300 and something point unit for 6 points of toughness. And how much? But hold on, there is also, let's criticize myself here, this defense 2-up regen in the world of very little AP, very little reduced AP, that could just be the absolute end of someone. It's also 3 fearless, right?
So the important thing to note is, a lot of the AP4 in the game now exists in deadly 3 guns. which aren't very good at shooting these veteran assault brothers, right? Because it doesn't splash over. So the most damage you're getting, I think, is A3, AP2. And I don't think you're really finding that on guns as much as you are finding it in melee. And if something charges this in melee, like, yeah, I mean, that's probably not amazing for you, but 4-ups into 5-ups, you could live. And then you could maybe kill them back. But yeah, I mean, it's sure a high-risk unit, but it's only 355 points. For me, yeah, I think I'd Blood Attack Speeder should be an APC in my books, and the brothers should be moved to something else, more aggressive. I think I'd rather see some support brothers or something.
I'm going to enjoy
veterans are
playing around with brothers. I think they're way more interesting in this patch than they have been. And if you're a brothers enjoyer, rejoice, because things are getting better.
In general, I think the weapon side of this update is great, right? And it really adds a lot more diversity to a lot of lists and a lot more upgrade paths and stuff. So I think there's a lot to get your teeth into. And this Bloodborne booster, I think puts in Blood such a good position. And like that combined with their walkers, which their walkers are so great, there's definitely a blood list out there. This is a nice generalist one, but I think there's probably a more degenerate version out there as well.
Yeah. Taking submissions in the Discord, please do bring it on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fantastic. Let's move on. So our next submission is by none other than Verl, the host of a Havoc Gate tournaments, which we'll be playing in the next one on the 15th of August. Come and try and claim our skulls there, I think is the right way of saying things. Verl has submitted an Age of Fantasy 1.5k list, 1500 point list of Beastmen. It's built with fighting Age of Fantasy in mind. The scenarios are slightly faster than standard scoring, like turn 3 and 4 scoring, which is the thrust of the Havoc Gate 3 event, where you score points on rounds 3 and 4. I recently started playing Age of Fantasy, and in my first 3 matches I tried out Beastmen to great success, as drowning your opponent in dual hand weapons is something most lists don't respond to well. Yes, I'd agree with that one there, Verl. This list takes a very good usage on the fact that Wahenny Raiders are much stronger in the beta by basically having twice as many attacks for just 10 points compared to 3.5.3. From bottom to top, the Wahenny Raiders want to shoot all the time and deploy as close as possible to punish anything that has done the same, with the help of a musician and strider. So they can be placed in the open or in a forest and kill a defense 6+ block of 10 unit and hurt a lot of others. Their biggest threat is ambushes if the enemy has them, in which case the warriors or hunters may escort them. They should have stealth, which makes them a terrible target for most shooting attacks. Very fair. Kemba Brutes take the centre and threaten elite options. Harpies have lost their AP but gain throwing axes instead. The strategy here is to bully things which don't have strider or flying with those throwing axes, and otherwise charge vulnerable pieces on the flank. Undolly warriors play at the pace of the team to clear objectives and take them and punish enemy aggression, and the Wahenny hunters act similarly, but focus on forest and other difficult terrain. So everyone's got a role in this, which I like the thinking behind. That's always good to see. Let's have a little look. As he's discussed, we've got 2 of most things in the unit of brutes. Wahenny hunters, look at that beautiful profile right there. Everything you'd ever want. 105 points for 10 of them. Qual 5, Def 5, 2 attacks each. Army-wide, strider. I love it. That's fantastic. They're really good at 105 points. Undolly warriors, holy crap, we're on a roll here, aren't we? Of just beautiful and simplistic. We don't even have this extra keyword. Just bestial, 2 attacks,
all the way back.
4 4s. Nice. Harpies. Oh, look at all these words. All these words on my screen. Too many words. Precision tag. So this is the one where you place 2 tokens on an enemy unit. People can consume a tag to get +1 to hit. And these harpies have got 2 attacks each. Flying, scout, bestial. Cool. We've got a bit of depth to the list now. The Kemba Brutes, which Verl has mentioned here, 3 attacks, AP2 each. They're 3/3s. They're tough 3s. We've got Furious, which is very nice. And Ravage. Also, AP2 and Bestial, which is reroll 6s when blocking. Really good. In fantasy, very strong. And then Ravage for a bit more. And the 2 units of Wahenny Raiders. And these are our plinkers with their short bows. And we've got triple short bows for A4. Very nice unit there. Qual 5, 2 precision tags in the unit. So you can mark up overall across this list. How many are we marking up? 2, 4, Six units can get precision tagged, which is quite good.
It's actually more than that. Precision tag lets you split them up.
Is it now? X tokens on one enemy unit, or 1 token on X. Oh, you are right.
Yeah. So you could technically you could do technically the whole list if you wanted to, but for the most part, yeah. I think we're probably just doing the doubles of on doing 6 units. But
I would presume that the Sergeant is one of these triple short bows. So that is one of these instances of applying this AP1 Sergeant the most effectively.
Yep.
Which is pretty nice. We are still dealing with Qual 5, so Precision Tag is doing a lot of lifting here. It's flat. It's good at 1,500 points. Where do you fall down?
This is another one, by the way, where I've done a list and Dave hasn't done. So.
Oh, yes.
Let's see what Dave's analysis is and how it lines up with my list.
Where are your tough 12 giants? Where are the dragons? Where's the cavalry is actually my main criticism here. Where are your high-speed units? You've got Strider, which you will rely on to do a lot of lifting in your Wahenna units. But if you just get outmaneuvered by a Shift Kingdoms list, this is a very squishy list that can just get absolutely pulled apart by horses. And is that stealth doing enough lifting? What happens if you face High Elves, who have really shot up in their shooting abilities here? What happens if you face, or who else are good?
Wood Elves.
Wood Elves, yes. Wood Elves kind of pull you apart as well, I think, a bit here. They play the terrain game even better. I think Volcanic Dwarves are looking really spicy, and you might be keen on playing some stridery sort of games. You're not going to do that too well when they fire volcanic shots at you and just blow you up. I think the core concept of this list is good, but you are relying so heavily on tags, Qual 5, Def 5 units, you cannot take a hit. So if you misplay wherever you need to go here, you're going home pretty quickly. I think, yeah, you can't take a hit is my biggest criticism.
Trying to find out what I did, because I can't remember either.
Okay.
Hey, okay. Let me talk to you some
Slimy
stuff. Okay,
beast.
so, yes, Wahenna hunters have lots of attacks. So I was heartbroken to see that you didn't, for 55 points, give them all AP1 on a charge. Which is good. So cheap. It gave more musician as well for the extra move speed. So yeah, I tripled them up. I've got 3 blocks of these bad boys now. So yeah, same as what you had before, but obviously piercing charge aura with bestial is very good. And you get a couple of extra attacks by just having the leader in there as well. And for 55 points, it's pretty cheap, given how much more effective that unit is by just having AP1 with bestial. So lots of things going there. I kept the Undoli warriors as they are. I think, I don't know, did Verls have musician? I don't know if it did. No. Okay, so yeah, musician adding in there. I think if you're going to play a list like this with very low mobility, you at least need to be bringing musicians in there. Then in terms of these ranged units, I dropped a precision tag on them. I don't know how essential precision tag is to this. I think there was a lot of precision tag going on in his list. I wasn't really a big fan of the Harpies. I feel like the strategy sounds good, but like the rest of the list is already trying to do that same strategy. So it's kind of actually exhausting, right? There's only so much difficult terrain you've got. So like finding enough difficult terrain for your Harpies and for these guys and all that kind of stuff is just too much. And then, yeah, as you pointed out, there was no monsters in there. And this monster solves a very important problem, which is it scares the ever-living shit out of them, because now your really immobile list has a way of moving the enemy towards you.
Yeah.
So this gives you the kind of mobility tricks that you need to be able to compete with stuff. And this guy got a nice glow up in that his tongue is now assault.
Yes, that was a big problem,
so
I think,
this guy's got, yeah, so he's now got 15 attacks, which is a lot nicer. And with that, it's small, but like that's a heavy flamer right there in melee, right? So that's a decent number of hits, especially with bestial, right? So you're getting, or basically guaranteed 3 hits AP1 bestial. That's kind of scary. And then yeah, mind control just to bring things closer to your units. So yeah, it's a little bit less combo-y, a little bit less precision tag stuff. I obviously got rid of the big elite guys, but also we've now got 3 units of hunters instead, which to me, this list when I read it was like A2 is the description. So I was like, well, why haven't we brought more A2 then? Let's bring 3 units instead of 2. Let's buff them up. Let's do the whole A2 thing. And then yeah, the Slimy Beast feels like a better support piece than the Kemba Brutes.
The Kemba Brutes as well, with the role of holding the center of the board. The Slimy Beast loves the center of the board, because that's where you're going to get the most out of this mind control, which is already fantastic in fantasy as it is. So I can see this being a nice little glow up, really, on the Kembers.
Yeah, the Slime Beast has got flying as well, which is great.
Why has it got flying? Oh, it's a Jabberwock, isn't it?
Yeah, which is great when you've got so many models on the board, because the one thing the Slime Beast is going to really struggle to do is get past all your stuff. And the same would be true for the Kemba Brutes, except it has flying, so it no longer has that problem. It's very hard to find tough 12s that are mobile in the game. So this thing has both flying and also mind control, which is a form of mobility.
Very nice, yeah.
So yeah, just enables your units in a different way. Because I don't think they need, like, it feels almost wasteful buying precision tags to use on 100-point units.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Like, I think if you're going to run precision tags, you probably want to double up the hunters, right? So that they are 20 stacks, and then they go in and throw a million dice, right? But a little bit of precision tagging is fine. But yeah, the way I see the raiders working here is I would probably never use the tags on their own attacks. I think, like, yeah, I mean, they're kind of okay. They're doing lots of damage and stuff, but I would rather use those tags on the AP1 bestial stuff.
AP ones, yeah.
Yeah, and exactly, yeah. And or like the beast and stuff that's going to break stuff, right? Because sometimes more hits on a ranged unit doesn't make too much of a difference because you're not, like, pushing them to, like, routing and stuff, right? Or outright destroying or whatever. And, like, melee units really want to be doing more damage because they're going to take attacks back.
Yeah.
Whereas ranged units can play around that. So I think this is slightly more there. And then obviously you did lose scout here. You don't have the scouting harpies. But to be honest, I saw those harpies as a liability. They kind of scout up the board, and yeah, they do the little poking thing. But like you say, like, what if they've got mobility, right? Like, you very quickly lose those harpies. And yes, they put down some marks. They've got some value, but they're not that great, and they're quite expensive. So
yeah,
this is my take on it instead.
An important point to kind of consider, and this is following up from a question and a conversation we had today in our Discord, is shooting or melee better? And I think that melee is better for a number of reasons. The most important one being that when you force somebody to fail a morale check in melee, you will, a lot of the time, take them off the board. And so, yeah, I agree with what you're saying there, and I agree with what you're laying down, that the precision tag should be used to support melee units rather than a shooting unit. Shooting,
yeah,
especially in Age of Fantasy where morale is typically worse anyway.
Yeah. I think if I had more space with this list, if I didn't want to be so spammy with the hunters, which I think was like the thing for the list, so Slime Beasts have access to mind control, but they also have access in Beastmen lists to morale debuffs.
Yeah, on the Giants or something?
I think basically on all the tough 12s have access to it in some form. In fact, I think the Slime Beast gets it as well, but I think it's not an upgrade with any. I think it's an upgrade with one.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, if this is upgraded with any, which it may be, I don't know, but it would be great because then you can get mind control, unpredictable fighter, and a morale debuff on one unit, which would be crazy.
Absolutely great.
But yeah, so this is my take on the list. I don't think it's necessarily better or worse. I think it's just like my version of how I'd build this like A2 spammy list. Go more into the A2 spamminess, take advantage of that through piercing charge, strip out the harpies to let that happen as well.
Yeah. I think the biggest glow up is including this mind control. I'm all for A2 spammy attacks, but let's make sure that we can connect. And also, mind control is just incredibly powerful. Huge disruption on your enemy's game plan. Right there.
Yeah, I think you also just like the previous list didn't. It had like tricks in the way of like having tag, which is like a combo thing, but it didn't have tricks that let you win the board. Like mobility is this weakness, and it wasn't offering much in the mobility. And scout sounds like it solves that problem, but it doesn't really. It helps you capture objectives early, but half your army's got Strider, so it's moving 13 inches through difficult terrain anyway. So I don't think it's playing that role in an important way. And yeah, like, you know, just 12-inch moving the Slimy Beast and just shoving one of their units back 6 inches or in front of another one of their units to block stuff is always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is. Centaurs as well. I'm just wondering about speed here, because you've got Centaurs, the Hounds sorry?
The Hounds, all Hounds have been nerfed to like A1 Surge now.
Well, the Hounds in Beastmen are looking like they're going to be A2. A2 fast,
really?
Yeah. You can get Razor Claw upgrades. So they're something that I'd encourage anyone wanting to play the A2 playstyle to look at, because they're fast and Strider. So they are
exactly. So you could slot them in over the Hunters. But yeah, lots of A2 kicking around. But I think, use auras with those A2 to give them a bit more punch.
Yes.
Because obviously this list has like fucking no AP.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting Age of Fantasy landscape with the general AP reduction. But if you can find it, get it in there. It will be very, very useful. Lovely. Let's have a look at the next one. Cool. Okay, so this next one, we don't have counter lists too. This is courtesy of Spaceman Coco. Thank you very much. We have to read the breakdown to understand. It's complicated. It's a bit of a niche list. It's a bit of a meme list is what it is. Thank you, Spaceman Coco, for keeping us as ever entertained. So what are we looking at here? We are looking at Blessed Sisters. Let's read the blurb. This list isn't going to be great in every game, but it certainly shows off the power of 3.6 in certain game modes, such as those where all objectives are placed inside the deployment zone. The list has a lot of tricks up its sleeves, and it's a bit of a psyop on your opponent. Here's the breakdown. The Warrior Sisters provide pressure on the midboard with their 24-inch guns, while the rest of the army focuses on obliterating anything that comes near them with their arsenal of 12-inch weapons. The Celestial Warrior Sisters are packed with deadly fusion rifles, and the Support Sisters have their flamers ready, along with the leaders to give them boosted devout. There is a conversation to be had about boosted devout, and it's not so much of a meme. Both these units would be great in the awesome transport the sisters have access to, but here's where the psyop comes in. We're not putting anything in the transports. While it would be nice, moving out of the transports stops our army rule from working on the Celestial Warriors, and even though the Support Sisters have a 70-point leader that lets them move and still make use of devout, Relentless also doesn't work if you move, and since we're paying for Relentless, this unit is not intended to move. And adding a 7th model to the Support Sisters makes it too big to fit in the Transport 6 anyway. So the transports will just be used to make your opponent think we might move out of the deployment zone, and 60% of the time, it works every time. The strategy is, first, make sure the game mode places objectives inside deployment zones so you can deploy directly onto them. Preferably, they are all in your zone, so your opponent has access to none of them. I've kept a straight face as much as I could. Next, wait for the enemy to move directly into your line of sight. Since we aren't going to be able to move, this is going to be a waiting game. Finally, when you've obliterated anything that moved within 12 inches of your objectives inside your deployment zone, you laugh at your opponent's pitiful attempts to breach your line and win the game. And yes, this is an excellent, satirical commentary on the hold conditions being introduced to various aspects of the game.
This is such a masterclass list. From adding a high sister to the sports system so they can't go into the transport, to the fact that he paid for the optional transport 6 upgrade as well. This is so many levels. It's great. It's like someone started building a list and went like, you know what, fuck this army wide. I'm adding high sisters and stuff. I love the idea of just like looking at a tournament pack and be like, well, there's one mission where I get objectives in my deployment zone. Yeah. Some people like to build like asymmetric deployment zones and stuff like that. Like, oh, you get all 3 objectives in yours, but they get, whatever, some stupid advantage, like they can deploy anywhere. Yeah. It's just it's a goofy commentary on the state of the current rules. And I think it's really interesting what's going on in the Discord right now with that stuff. Tano's saying there's like a vocal minority that are poo-pooing the hold rules. And I'm sure a lot of the vocal minority are watching this video right now. Hello, vocal minority. It'll be super interesting to see what happens when it hits open beta is my current stance on it. I think I
agree.
I think, we've seen before that like Tano's been like stalwart in making a decision and then it's hit like an open forum and we've had people literally blow up about it. That's what happened with the measuring army-wides. I suspect
we lost so many rules in the 3.5 beta because we made contact with the general populace. Everything
just blew up. I think to Tana's point, like it's very, very difficult to think of conditions that make sense. And I think that alone is a good enough argument for army-wise not existing, straight up, right? Like I think if you're reaching the point where you're like, oh my God, it's impossible for me to find a good condition and people don't like it, maybe there's a fundamental problem and it's not something that's going to be solved by a condition. I think in general, people just don't like conditions on this stuff, right?
That is the broader thing. And one of the points he was saying today, for those of you not in the Patreon chat and wanting to have a little bit of the curse unlifted, was actually considering the points cost of these on-hold rules, and that they are nearly negligible, that they are very, very low for a unit that Tyler gave an example of. He did acknowledge, though, the point which I think is the far bigger one, which is that people see it and think, why is that there? I don't want that.
Yeah.
That has just made it feel like I'm wasting time and points on my army. And then I'll go and I'll look at the Battle Brothers. I'll look at Watch Brothers, who just all the time get Versatile Warrior, and they're fantastic. And yet I have to stand still with my shooting army to do it. And it's Blessed Sisters are just the biggest example of this, who have gone from this close range Flamer army 2 years ago to a more versatile ranged and melee army to now just being a crap shooting army. And so if you want to play them, you have to then go and play this melee style to get the best output, or a hybrid style, but even then you aren't juicing it as much as, say, Orcs, who are always getting it. And there are other armies that get their hold benefits really good. That was excellent English. Whose hold or charge conditions favour them in different ways, but I can't see any army that I look at it and go, I want to hold. I don't want to use this rule.
It'll also be interesting. So the point discussion that came up is Tanner posted a picture of a unit of like 24-inch range A1 shooting 4/4s and put the DAO passive on it. Now the DAO passive is shooting only, right? Which most of the army rules aren't, right? Mm-hmm. They're actually shooting and melee, so they are going to be more expensive. So like, you come to your support sisters, that devout is also charging them for the cost of the charging effect. So it's already more expensive than the DAO passive. Also, a 24-inch range shooting A1 unit is not a unit that actually exists in the game that anyone's going to take, apart from, of course, our beloved Spaceman Coco, who's taken 2 of them right here. But like, to prove the point, right? Like, so yes, it might be, it's going to be more expensive than the 2.5 points quoted or whatever, but it'd be interesting to see what the actual points are behind the scenes for when it's a combo one. And also, like, that is just not a good unit anyway, right? So most units are going to have more attack, so the cost is going to be greater to account for that. It's all in the air right now. I say it's all in the air. I think there's a lot of people complaining, and hopefully it'll be in the air when it hits the open beta and people agree with us. And if they don't agree with us, then it's fine, right? We just continue playing the game.
Yeah. And that's the point where Coco has hit on it. The way of pushing past this is going to be heavily relying on your boost auras. And I don't think Sisters are dead, for example, despite my grumblings about this hold rule. I just think that the strongest Sisters list will lean into their walkers and their ability to actually punch in melee. And you are playing Orcs a lot closer to. And then for those units which are good at shooting, tag on a high Sister with Devout Boost Aura. And that is where you'll get it. Unfortunately, your support sisters are now shit. This double hold requirement on a 12-inch unit that you want to be in an APC that you can't get around because of exactly as Coco mentions. There are things that have just been really heavily shafted. So you have to adapt to overcome it.
And once again, like, there might be a couple of points to get Relentless and Devout on these guys. It might cost nothing, but it feels awful for your 2 keywords to never ever be used.
Yeah, it really does.
Regardless of the cost is right. Or
regardless
not.
of points, it is the vibe, the feel, and that's what people will really rail against.
Yeah, and I also think, like, yes, 2.5 points or whatever it was for that unit to get its DAO boost. That rounds to 5, first of all, right? So that costs 5 points. We're living in a patch where there's a million weapon options for everyone now, right? So 5 points is more relevant than it's ever been because you will be able to find a 5-point upgrade for basically every single unit that actually does something, right?
Yeah.
Instead of what we got right now, which is potentially something that will just be of no use to you the whole game. Or if you do find use for it, may actually be throwing the game because you're not moving, right? So
yeah,
which is another thing,
it's going to be
right?
such a noob trap is my problem. That if someone's going to look at it, it's not my only problem, it's one of the many, but someone's going to look at that and go, oh, I want to stand still to get my thing. That's the way I see this. You want me to stand still to do my thing, and I lost because I tried to do the thing you are telling me to do, but I didn't win the game. I didn't play this.
Yeah. I think if you go back to some of our videos when we talk about big mistakes people make in games, we often talk about the fact that people stand in their deployment zone and don't move forwards.
Yeah.
Right? They have their range units and they think that range means stay away. Well, this is a four round game. If you stay away, you don't contribute. So you have to move forwards. You can't get stuffed into your deployment zone. Yeah. But these rules would suggest to a new player, oh, okay, like holding is what I want to be doing. And then they'll start to come across the various bits of conflict within the rules, right? They'll be like, oh, well, I have this close range unit. It wants me to hold. I'll put it in a transport. And then when they go to use the hold thing after getting out of the transport, you go like, oh, no, you have to use the advance or the rush thing to get out of it. Oh, so that means I don't get my thing. No, you don't get anything. Moments like that, right, will start to come up instead of it being like current relentless, which is like, you just need to be 9 inches away.
Yeah.
And then they can figure that out, right? And there's no clashing with other rules and there's no weirdness there. And there's a lot more agency that the player has over that than hold, which is based on your opponent moving into range.
Yeah.
So yeah, either way, I mean, we've talked about this in the previous video, but thank you, Coco, for bringing this list. It's very funny.
Thank you, Coco.
It's a lovely highlighting.
Let's go and have another little chat about a conversation to have about a list. It is not one that I was able to really put something together for, but I thought it was an interesting one to talk about because with the weapons shift, we are seeing DAO battle suits get a way more favorable melee loadout. It's not perfect. We aren't completely clean and efficient, but this is a very entertaining list that has been submitted by Wampus, which is that they were trying to come up with an idea where the whole team was an ambush. Turn 2, you use the stealth suits and the ambush beacon on them to get the melee suits in and set up a wall, allowing the stealth suits to stand still and get their relentless off. So again, we're looking at this hold for a relentless thing. Heavy suits are there for a big evasive threat that can do deadly or blast, depending on your loadout. How does this work? We've got a single hero who's a tough 6. That hero has counter and melee aura and is a melee loadout. So it's a 4-2, tough 6, counter in melee, 11 attack blender. 9 attacks. I'm just
bottom 2 don't have assault.
Limited, that's right as well.
Yeah.
So we've got drone guns on there as a limited thing. We have 3 units of stealth suits, all with their A3 rending, ambush beacon, ambush, flying, that sort of thing. 2 units of melee battle suits. These folks have got 4 attacks in combat. There's an interesting point when you get into looking at the points where you can have 9-inch A1 AP2 assault guns or 6-inch A1 AP4 assault guns, and it's the exact same cost. Rounding is doing some fucky shit there. One of the things that this battlesuit unit relies on is that Precision Spotter is for melee or shooting. And so you can buff yourself up to the big 3+, congratulations. And then the 2 heavy suits that we've spoken about, one with the blast loadout, one with the deadly loadout. Now, unfortunately, it's not really getting away with it here. Whilst we have got a primarily melee loadout set of battle suits, because we have got the 6-inch A1 AP4 assault, you are paying a little bit for targeting visor, so it could be a bit cheaper. But there we go. Maybe that 6-inch gun could help you at some point in the day. You are very rarely going to get your targeting visor off with it, but when you do, you feel like I got all my points worth. The heavy stealth suits are great. Bit of overkill on the stealth suits here. Are we at exactly 2,000 points? We can't get the deadly guns in there. I like what you're doing. I like the cut of your gym. Use ambush beacon, get everyone into the spot you want. Daisy chain them along a little bit, going stealth suit, stealth suit, stealth suit, bam, battle suits, and have a good time. It's a fun list, and I hope you enjoy using it and get the memes you want.
Yeah, I think for me, I spent a bit of time working on this list on the train, and then I got off the train and didn't finish it. But I think the things for me is I don't think you need 3 ambush beacons in this list. I think that's overkill. They just need to be within 6 inches of this unit, and you measure from one base to the closest base. So really, with a unit of 3 battle suits, 1 ambush beacon can cover a pretty large area for where they can deploy, as long as they're just like slightly towed into that 6-inch zone. Because they don't need to be wholly within, right? That's not how ambush beacon works. So you could trim some points on ambush beacons there, and find other things to spend points on in this list. The problem with the all battlesuit list is obviously the base costs for these things are very high. So there's only a certain number of configurations you can actually do here before you just use them all. But yeah, you could consider going more blast on the heavy stealth suits. So pull some deadly from one of them and go more blast, and then bring more deadly through the stealth suits instead, which I think would be better in the long run. Just because you taking advantage of relentless and deadly is a really, really effective combo.
I agree.
And relentless and rending isn't quite as good of a combo. you're getting just flat hits, right, compared to getting extremely powerful hits. So I would maybe move some of the power over to those. And because you pull some ambush beacons, you might even be able to afford some spotters there as well. You'd probably pull the counter in melee aura off the battlesuit elite and go from there.
I get the dream, and don't let your dreams be memes. I hope you play this and I hope you have a good time. If you wanted to make it a little bit better, I'd be looking at probably dropping the battlesuit elite to bring in some units of spotters, maybe dropping one unit of stealth suits and changing one of them to be a deadly unit, and kind of using that freedom of points to add in more supporting units. But dreams, not memes. Roll out your daisy chain of stealth suits, just using ambush beacon to get everyone where you want them to be.
But yeah, definitely look into some of the things I've said there, though, because I'm sure you could probably make it work somehow.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Wampus. And we are going to move on now to our final list, which is some Havoc Brothers, submitted by Onward to Victory. Thank you, Onward to Victory. This is Havoc Magic. Another fun list, and if I'm not mistaken, the Brutes get 16 attacks when you include the assault rifles. We'll come on to Infernal Brutes. I think they're fantastic. The Scouts target an aura with its takedown and hopefully remove it from the table before the relentless, reliable support boys flame a horde. I like the cast spell list. Very aggressive, which is needed since this will not be doing much attacking. The deadly support boys don't need the extra AP, so they can move when needed to get into position to take out a tanky unit. So let's cover a few things off as headlines before we get into the crunch of the list. Havoc Bound, when you use hold or charge actions, you get AP +1. We're seeing that hold or charge again. And the spell list. Straight to the top here on the level 3s. 18 inches, line of sight, 6 hits, AP2. Very, very good spell. Havoc Bound Boost removes the hold or charge condition. 2 enemy units within 9 take 4 hits each. Another great spell. 2 friendly units get shredded melee once. You stick that on the Infernal Brute and it's going to blitz some boys. And then the level 1 spells are fine. We've got a Dangerous Terrain 1 for 3 hits with Scourge, which is this fucky new rule about bonus points for morale triggering checks. It's a bit complex and I'm not sure how it's made it into the game, but there we go. Good spell list overall. We have a good spell list. We've got bonus AP when we hold or charge. Let's flick through. So because the list here is Harvey's, I'll talk through the army and then we'll go and see what Harvey did with it. So we've got a lone Havoc champion here, upgraded with ambush and flying, cast a 3 spell amplifier. This thing's got a pretty clear role. Come down in round 2 with 6 caster tokens and unleash hell with a load of boosted casting. I like this. I think that this is going to be a really good strategy to bring into the game. We already like ambush and caster 3s, and the fact that you can now just auto boost yourself with spell amplifier, get all those spells off more reliably is good. So I'm keen to see this, and I think we'll see more of it as this patch goes on because it is going to be very effective. Yep. Mutated Cultists, it's already a good unit. We've got A1 AP1 Surge. We've spoken a little bit about this. Unpredictable Fighter, Havoc Bound. If this thing charges, it could just be hitting you with 20 attacks, AP3 and Surge on 5-ups, which is quite funny. The +1 to hit from Unpredictable Fighter is also a really good benefit to it. And again, it's a melee unit. It's going to be charging, so this condition is just not a restriction. This is the Cultist champion with Havoc support, so they've got Scout Aura to get them up the board with their heavy flamers and just start to blitz things. The Cultist champion has a job of taking out auras. This is an excellent use of a sniper where you've got reliable and takedown on the sniper rifle on a qual 5 unit. So points wise, it's very efficient. We've got another Havoc support with the deadly weapons. We've seen that already. 2 greater mutated units. So these are 3s of tough 3, 3 attacks each, AP1 Surge. They're 3/4s Unpredictable Fighter. They're a very good unit. And then the pièce de résistance. Why? Because they're tough 12s, of course. Infernal Brutes, they're 3/2s, and they've got this Havoc Bound rule, and they can be loaded out like other walkers at the moment, where their fists, weapons, are A3, AP2. They've got guns underneath, and here, each one of those is A3, AP1, Assault, Surge, and their Stompers in place. The result is that you end up with a 16 attack unit. Now, in the AP reduction world, it feels a little bit worse, but how about Havoc Bound? When you're charging with this unit, which is what you want to do with your melee units anyway. You've got +1 AP. So really, this thing will just rip people to pieces in a world where everyone thinks, I'm nice and safe because of reduced AP.
So what do you think then?
What do I think? I like the list. The support units are my biggest question mark. One of them's got the Scout Aura to get up the board, which helps. The other one, the deadly ones, have got the 18-inch fusion rifles, which again help. You're just not doing enough with them. When you take support units and leave them as support units of 3, you are somewhat limited what you can effectively point them at and reliably damage or dent the unit. The fact that the Havoc support with Flamers is 105 points, screaming to be doubled up in my view, because then that is a 300-point unit with Scout, load of heavy Flamers that is just going to do bits. Love the Greater Mutated, but the A3, AP1 Surge, I'm sure there's a better way of loading them out. Love the Infernal Brutes. Love the Mutated Cultists. Probably would prefer to see those split up. I wonder if you can get them with A2 instead. I think that would be better. Havoc Champion is great. I think this is like 80% of where I'd want it to be. I'd like to see maybe a transport, maybe one fewer Greater Mutated. Oh, they are fast, actually. I had overlooked that on the Greater Mutated. They are very good for that. Probably split the Cultists, and this Havoc support maybe goes down. There is this extra point of thinking about Havoc more broadly, which is that because they have got the AP +1 when charging, do you need these deadly units in there? Can you just rely on the rest of your army to do it? And I wonder, because as well, these Greater Mutated are A3, AP2 Surge with Unpredictable Fighter. They're actually probably better than I think at 205 points. So maybe do leave those in, drop the Havoc support, split the Cultists, add a transport somewhere.
I mean, given how hard you were going for Bikers before, you should be going extra hard for Greater Mutated.
Yeah.
Those things are only a little bit more expensive. Unpredictable Fighter means they either hit on 2s or they have AP2, and then their charge means they're AP3 or AP2, and then fast as well.
And Surge, so you've got Surge. Furious in there. I'd take it.
Yeah, you could be hitting on effectively 1-ups, right? If you get the +1 to hit, and then also got Surge.
Yeah, very true. Greater Mutated, very spicy. Let's see. Oh, I imagine you'll drop at least one of these Infernal Brutes.
So just before we click on my list, go back.
I didn't see. I didn't see.
I think if so. Okay, a couple of things about this list that I think are fun. I think the scouting with the support unit is a fun thing. I think it's a shame that obviously scouting is now only 9 inches. So the standing still thing is not like you proposed that you could do scout plus deadly and you could stand still and use your relentless. You can't really do that with 9 inches. So you're kind of accepting that's not going to be the case. Like you say, I think a 300-point scouting flamethrower unit is pretty good. Right, like you put that wherever you want, you walk up, you annihilate a unit, and if your opponent hasn't deployed for it, you'll be out of range of counter charges and shooting and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of cool. I agree with you on the splitting the Mutated Cultists out. I think if you're trying to make this list better, then that's just a straight up better move, right? I think having a 20 blocks, okay, but 2 10 blocks are going to help you cover the flanks, which I think is where this thing struggles the most, because basically everything in this army wants to be in a death ball in the middle.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd do if I was trying to make this list more competitive. So you can click on my list now.
All right. I'm noting here that it's called Havoc Magic, and we have 1 caster. So I'm wondering, are we going to see 2 or 3 casters from Harvey's list?
Interesting.
Skadoosh. 4! Okay, Harvey, talk us through it.
Yeah, so as Dave pointed out, their support units seem a bit out of place. When they're not doubled up, they don't quite have as much punch as you want them to. You want them to be killing units, right? Because they're shooting units as well, right? You don't want to be damaging things, you want to be killing them. There was no support for them, right? We didn't have APCs to throw them into or anything like that. So yeah, I bin those off. I really like the Greater Mutated. I ummed and ahed about them a little bit, but I do like them and I consider them core to the list. And then the Infernal Brutes, obviously, you highlighted those, you wanted those to stay. I'm happy for those to stay. I think they're great units for 420 points, right? That's doing a lot, especially with it being quality 3. I don't know if they were always quality 3. I think they probably were, but I think they are quality, they're great. Yeah. The only thing they're missing, right, that is Fearless. It'd be great if they had Fearless, but I mean, you don't need Fearless on a unit like that. So that's good.
I'm not making morale checks with them. I'm making the enemy make morale checks, and they're qual 3. They're quality 3 up. So that's quite good.
So what I've done with this list is I've basically gone like, okay, well, the support is an interesting thing, but it's too predictable. You had the 1 ambush caster in there. I really liked that idea. So I've just quadrupled it because I think coming down with 12 tokens where you get +1 to hit is very scary when you've got a whole load of 6 hits AP2, when you can send out your boost aura, when you got 2 sets of 4 hits. Even the 3 hits with Scourge is quite scary, because one thing we often talk about level 1 spells doing is triggering morale.
Yeah,
right?
okay,
So,
okay.
So
I'm
this can really trigger morale in some nice places, right? And because it's an on-1 thing, it's effective even against Def 2 stuff, right? So occasionally they'll roll a 1 and your counter's doing 3 wounds to them. And 3 wounds is a significant amount, right? That's a morale check for vehicles. That's so for like tough 6 vehicles. For walkers, it can start to be in the right region. And then also dangerous terrain, yes, it got a nerf from whatever it used to be, the old dangerous terrain debuff thing, but this is still good, right? Like, just make them have dangerous terrain next time they start their turn. That's 2 wounds on a tough 12 with no saves, so that's great. And yeah, these guys are flying as well. They're flying. They're tiny little models. They come down with all their caster tokens, and you can just choose where they go on the board. So the strategy here is very similar to what you had before, right? We've got our brutes and we've got our mutated, and we just move them up the board round 1, right? They're just trying to get them into melee range, right? The mutated can be slightly more tactical because they've got fast. The brutes are literally just walking forwards and praying.
They're being brutes.
Yep. The cultists. So I rejigged the cultists. So you had mutated cultists, which I think are okay. The thing that mutated cultists struggle with, right, is if you're playing them on a flank, they can lose because they're melee, right? And they are 5 quality, sometimes 4 quality, whatever. But they can still lose a flank on their own. Whereas these cultists are cheaper, but they have 2 flamers. So they can win against stuff like swarms in a way that your previous cultists may not have always done. So I think they're a little bit more reliable, and they can play a little more cagey because they have ranged weapons over the cultists, which need to be moving forwards. And because they're only 12-inch moving, then there's all the complications there, and also just cheaper. So in the strategy of this, you're basically deathballing the 4 big units you've got. You get cultists over dealing with some flank that hopefully has some squishy units that it can deal with, and then you have your 4 casters to basically plug holes into round 2, right? You go like, okay, where do I not have stuff going? Do I need to commit more to the middle? Do I want to commit less to the middle? Like 18 inches of range on a caster with flying is a crazy range, because remember, they can move 12 inches.
Oh, no, yeah, 12 inches. That's
they can move 12 inches before casting, right? So that's a 30-inch range spell, right? Yes, you need line of sight, but you have flying. So you can put these guys down wherever you want on the board in safe places, nestled behind stuff. And because they now have casting staffs, they can cast their 6 AP2 on a 2-up for only 4 tokens, right? And then you have 2 more tokens kicking around, which you can then spend on a level 1 spell, which also goes on a 2-up, right? So you can go 6 AP2 into a danger terrain test. That's a lot of damage. You can go 6 AP2 into a Scourge, right? And you've got 4 of these bad boys. And if you played correctly,
they're all 3-up, right?
Or you can gamble on a 3-up if you want to do the 2 sets, 4 hits, yeah.
Which can then
that annoying
3 morale checks, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right. So you just put these guys in annoying places. You use the fact that they can full move and cast spells in the same round, and then you're just playing the board with the rest of your units. So they kind of represent what ends up being your mobility core and your way of dealing with things that you're not prepared for. Because 30-inch range, 6 hits AP2, if you consider that on like a tank with 6 hits AP2 at 30-inch range, right? A quality 4, that would be 12 hits AP2 on average.
Yep.
This is 6 hits AP2. Yes, it's not on a tank, but it's on something that is damn as hard to kill, right? Because it's going to be hiding behind cover and stuff like that. And you've got 4 of them. And it's quality 2, so it's not quite, it's like 5 hits AP2 compared to the 4, whatever. But still, it's very, very potent for the small amount of cost it has. And they can capture objectives, right? Going into round 3 and 4, they can start nipping onto points and doing stuff, right? And if you want to, you can just pick a flank and put all 4 of these guys on it and rain 6 hits AP2 on everything in range, while your brutes and your mutated hopefully win other parts of the board.
Yeah.
So this is kind of leaning more into that ambush caster thing you had nestled in the list. I was like, you know what? Why don't you just go bigger on it, right?
Go big and go home.
And this list does not have that many models, so you can throw it together for a game day, right?
Yeah.
It's no problem. It's absolutely no problem. We've got like most of our points are in 6 models. And then we've got another
22 models. I like it.
22 models. This is almost custodian level of models.
We're close. We are.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I am excited to see if this cast of 3 spell amplifier ambush thing pervades the game. I think that's going to be really good fun. Certainly for the person doing it, someone on the other end is going to call bullshit and throw things, if not dice. I've been already looking at the Change Demons list with the Harbinger, Caster 3, Spell Accumulator, buried in a unit with 2 Caster 1s and 2 Spell Accumulators. That Mimi ambush strategy, which is very expensive but does a similar thing. And this just, they can do it themselves. You don't need to bury tons of Spell Accumulator if you can do this, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly right. Two spells and a 2-up is great. Right.
2 spells and a 2-up is great.
Don't forget as well, another thing that makes these guys hard to kill is you have 12 inches of movement, but you don't need to cast at the end of the movement, right? Because they've got flying, they can just fly.
Oh, you can cast and run away.
They can fly over terrain, throw back spells, and then fly back over. 12 inches is so far to move.
Yeah.
So you reduce it down to 24-inch range or whatever, but that's still loads. So there's loads of clever ways you can play these guys so that coming into round 3 and 4, they're still alive and they still have casting things to do. And you can play super, super KG while the rest of your army is playing absolutely not KG and walking at things.
This sounds like a little bit of me here. I'm quite enjoying it. You're charging, you're fast, you're surging, you're exploding 6s, you got 2 fatties. I get the Robert De Niro face of approval. Excellent. What a way to round out the video. I really enjoyed that a little bit.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. Lovely. Well, everybody, thank you very much for watching.
Just before we round up as well, I'll say it now just so they know. Swamp Hobbit, you did submit a list, but you submitted a non-beta list.
Yes.
So he didn't include it in this video. If you want to chat about that, can I throw it up in another channel or whatever? We can have a discussion of it somewhere else, and then other people can get involved as well. But we didn't try to ignore you.
Yeah,
you just ignored us, so we had to ignore you.
And then there's an Eternal Dynasty list. Onward to Victory, you submitted 2.
Onward to Victory submitted, and they also submitted the Havoc Magic one, so we just did the Havoc Magic one.
Sorry, so we only picked one, and Dr. Daka did a 1500-point Kingdom of Angel list, which we can talk about again in the Discord, but we've already had some Kingdom of Angels, so we're trying to keep things going a little bit.
You can take my list, you can strip all the Battle Angels from it, and then put some decent units in instead. And
yeah, that's a fair way of doing it. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. Thank you to everybody who submitted lists as well on our Discord. If you're interested in joining the best community on the internet, get down in the description and find the details there. I think that's about it. Coming up next week is something we haven't decided yet. It's either going to be something.
It might be a skirmish video. We don't know. If you want a skirmish video, post it down below. Right, tell us to do a skirmish video.
We could do new skirmish, because skirmish as well in beta is looking really exciting. So we could do that. Show some of that off.
Yeah, we want to get kick. We want to do some more content. Like I mentioned, I think last week, that we want to do content like unit roles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we're cautious about doing it before the release, at least of the open beta, so that it can be a little bit more evergreen, because we don't want to do a bunch of stuff now and then everything changes in 2 months' time or whatever.
Exactly.
So there's going to be a period now where we're kind of making crap content like this video and the last video. But with time, we'll go back to reviewing army lists and all that kind of stuff again. Army books and stuff. So we know you guys love that content, but we just don't want to throw out content that's going to be old in 2 weeks.
Exactly. But do let us know what you'd like to see, if there's anything in particular that is burning a hole in your heart that you want to hear these two Wallies wobble about. But for now, I think that's about it from me. That's it from you?
Yeah, I reckon so, yeah. The only other thing, I guess, is Havoc Gate 3 is also coming up. I don't know if you can still apply to that. I think list submissions in 2 days, which I guess by the time this video comes out will be the day of this video.
If not the day after,
Yeah, so if you want to get involved with Havoc Gate 3, you probably have exactly, you're 3 hours into this video. So you're running out of time. Okay, so you need to get in that Discord and you need to apply for that. And like Dave said, you can come smash our heads in.
If I did an online tournament at some point where afterwards I was chatting to the guy and he was like, oh yeah, I was really scared about facing you because I've been following all your content, and we had a tie and it was a great game. And it was kind of on the back of that, I'm thinking, if I sit down for a game and have a Gate 3 and someone says, oh Dave, I'm here to do your head in, mate, I would be like, brilliant. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear people coming to just absolutely have a pop and have a really good game. And I would gladly lose to anybody who outplays me, because that's always a learning point.
Dave's promised he'll bring Sky City Dwarves if 10 people commented down below.
I haven't. I'll do it. It's only, I'll fucking take it, right? If 10 people, no, we've got to be more. If 15 people 15, I'll take it for 15 different YouTube accounts. So Spaceman, Coco, get making new YouTube accounts now.
Grumpy Wolf. Grumpy Wolf 1 to 20.
War Boss Fits, 4 Boss Wits.
We'll get Uncle C and everyone,
Uncle C will come in. Then
we'll see the true believers as well, because you'll be so far into the video, you know.
I know, right? I'm glad we have this buried at the end. No editing shenanigans, you. Okay. None of that. I'm Dave. He's Harvey. No.
I was going to say, I'll do all those classic YouTube clickbait things where I put that clip at the very start of you just going God, I'm glad we buried this at the end, and then it fades out. You're like, motherfucker, I just want to hear what it was. I'll do one of those.
That I'm up for. Yeah.
No, I can't do that to the viewers. It's not fair, you know.
Or me. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to play Wood Elves or something. We've finished tormenting Dave. That's me. That's Harvey. Don't think, just charge. Thank you. Bye.